Hey everybody, wherever you're watching from, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today we're back in the Alchemist of Ars Magna to continue our playthrough. Last time, we were in the towards the end of like one of the main story quests. We just finished the
クロックアップスペルリコードアイスストーム
right, so we just finished the boss fight in the dungeon run, so we're going to just continue reading from there. Not really the best spot to like stop, but I didn't want to go over time last time, so yeah, we're gonna continue where we left off last week. So it's on full screen. As the golem lost its balance from everyone's attacks, Arya lashed out her own attack. The hands on her spiral circuit spun rapidly. A spell circle spread around Arya with a bright flash. Arya cast a spell after increasing the calculation speed instantaneously and let out a gust of frigid sub-zero air. Surrounded by freezing winds, the golem's movements became slow.
普通ゴーレムは環境の変化には強くてちょっとやそっとの冷気は平気なはずなんだけどでも今回は別だったね
The golem's body still had wet clay used to keep its form together. That half-dry mud frozen to low temperatures and stopped its elbows, knees, and other joints from moving.
急いで作ったから仕上げが甘かったね早すぎたってところかなシあとはお願い
Alright. Shin... Oh, what happened to me? Shin leapt high into the air and struck his blade from the top of the golem and straight down the middle. At the same time, Celis and Antar fired their own attacks using their weapons. The golem was slashed all over and reached its limit of keeping its form. The next moment, its body crumbled and returned to clumps of mud.
こっちはなんとか片付いたわねあとは
I know. Before she can create more golems, let me suck the dust out from Aruru. Not expecting her creation to be broken, Aruru was startled and panicking. Thankfully, it became easier for him to approach. Shin focused on the Philosopher's Stone and activated the power. She's affected by the dust, but hasn't become a heinous god yet. I think we'll make it. Hey, will you please calm down?
ほらレッツシンはあなたを助けようとしてるんだから我慢なさいじゃないと国化して過信になっちゃうよ頑張れアルが強い子泣くな
Met by an Amtar, Aruru continued to sniffle with tears in her eyes but stopped thrashing. Using that opportunity, Shin activated the purification spell. Thanks Arya, Namtar. Now I can link Philosopher's Stone with the meridians within the god. Extract dust from target. Begin synchronization. Although Shin did this plenty of times, it was still quite a burden on him. But Shin now has Namtar. Thanks to the Demon Partner contract, her Philosopher's Stone takes on a part of Shin's burden. Contamination level, 4%, 3%, 2%. Purification complete. With a sense of success, Shin let his hand go. Thanks, Namtar. You helped me out.
もう大丈夫なのか
Isbar. Yeah, the opening sequences, or the opening of the stream with those sounds are a bit sus, but yeah, we're doing fine. Doing fine. Off stream, I've been like testing the run for the next half campaign, and I'm kind of losing my mind. But other than that, like things are fine. Yeah, probably. Shin turned to Aru. It was hard to figure out the god's emotions, but her agitation from earlier has died down.
私なんで徳さんにタストの虎使うなんて。シン、今ならアルルもこっちの声に耳を貸してくれるはずなの。早く説得して避難するのでは。
That's right. We have to hurry or else Maltina and friend will be in danger. Shin turned to Aru once again, put away his weapon and raised his hands to show he had no signs of hostility. Hey Steel. You should understand the situation you're in. If you stay, you will be affected by the contaminated dirt along with the many ash demon golems. Please come with us and take refuge from this place. We aren't your enemies. We came here to save you, so...
敵じゃない?
Discharge for expert lately. Right, you mentioned you actually got the Endless Legend 2 now, right? Like, you actually got it? For real, for real? Because I remember last time you got it on early access before and then, like, you refunded it. No, that reminds me, I should check what they've changed in that one. I haven't looked at the updates at all. The god Aru tilted her head as she turned her attention to Shin for the first time. Shin firmly nodded as she stared. Just when Shin thought he was able to communicate with her, you like it now? Oh, hey! Aru immediately ran off. She shoved Shin aside and stumbled toward the golems who were turned into ash demons. Watch out, that way is...
またもう世話の焼ける。アルル、私たちのこと怖がっているのだわ。
I still can't imagine like playing a 4X game with just a controller though. I feel like you're I feel like you're like darting around all over the UI. I mean, if the support is like if the way they handle the controls for controller was like was smooth and like things are easily accessible, then that's fine, I guess. But I feel like I would be like so slow. It would feel so slow for me if I was using like an Xbox controller or something to play a 4X game. I feel like I'd rather just use a mouse so I can just go directly to where I need to go. Like control in the future? Oh my god. Freaking get surgery just to play a game, man. Like, that doesn't seem worth it. Afraid?
そう感じるの。アルルはずっとここでゴーレムたちと暮らしてきたから。それが急に千客万来で契約だカイマだって言われたらパニックになるのも無理ないかもね。気持ちはわかるけれど危ないわ。このままじゃ。
As Aru jumped out carelessly, she was surrounded by the golems. Turned into ash demons, they would not listen to Aru's orders and attempted to harm their creator. This is bad.
せっかくシンがダストを抜いたのに、あれじゃまた。まったく、世話の焼ける送信ですわな。
Maltina. Maltina stepped forward to the middle of the hall where Aru and the golems were. She stood on the opposite end of the room from Shin. As Maltina walked leisurely, the remaining ash demon golems lunged toward her.
姉さん、危ない！
Renan Type 2 doll protected Maltina from the golems.
しばらく周りの雑魚は頼みましたわよ、フレン。後でハグして差し上げますわ。
Maltina glances at him and instructs him to do so while she continued to face the god. He owns every single button. Press you're not going to like with a thumbstick at least. Okay. Yeah, but then that still means that you'd have to use the D-pad to cycle through each element, no?
エーテルギア、セラフィムタクト。 スコアロード、ドール、リミッターを解除。我が楽団の演舞に酔いしれなさい。
Maltina signaled the dolls on standby got into action. As soon as the close combat dolls struck through the golem's encirclement, the gunner dolls rushed right in.
奥義陣形、不格好なゴーレムたちに洗練されたドールの性能を思い知らせてやりなさい。
It's a little tedious. Maltina waves her conductor's rod. Particles of light flew as clear musical sounds reverberated throughout the area. It's a thought, since Earth 1 is with needs station and close. Request to gather all elements. I think that was like a temporary thing. He just happened to be there. They're probably not like staying together all the time. Because I feel like he's just like roaming around. Because he was probably there also because of the alert, right? Because of the weather station saying like there's a Oblivion approaching. So he probably has like some access to the weather stations as well. Or he has some other way of like figuring out where Oblivion is happening, so he just goes there. I don't think he's like always with Kibe. Probably. We'll see. We'll see when we meet them next time, I guess. The dolls moved according to the sounds. Protecting Aru, it formed 2 rows before firing a barrage of bullets at the golems.
すごい訓練された軍隊みたい。あれを全てマルチナが操っているなんて。
I see. She uses that conductor's rod to send compressed commands to the dolls. That's why there's no lag in their movements. But that would require highly refined skills to control the spells. While understanding the conditions of each doll, she provides optimized commands, changing the spells according to the situation. Maltina is the conductor of the dolls who can provide complex controls by herself. She's playing Warcraft IRL. She's microing the freaking units. The tones produced by her conducting rod echoed for some time as the intense melody gradually became a single musical piece. 退路は確保いたしましたわ。急ぎなさい、送信アルル。私がエスコートしてあげますわ。Maltina gracefully reached her hand out. かっこいい。ドール楽団、土偶さんよりスタイリッシュ。ドグーさんよくわかりませんが、当然ですわ。この私とドールたちの華麗さは当代随一ですもの。まぶしい。さあ、というわけで急ぎなさい。一旦ここを出ますわよ。Aru seemed to be in shock but finally got up and followed her lead. Shin and the others simply just stared blankly and watched them go. シンが声をかけても聞いてくれなかったのに。Maybe she understood that she was being protected after she saw the dolls in action.
マルチナの自信満々の姿に自分にないものを見たのかも。
I see. Maybe you're right.
ハルモニア派の皆さん、何をしていますの？のんびりしていると置いていきますわよ。こっちだって大変だったのに。
Anyway, let's get out of here for now. Shin tried to calm Arya as she grumbled as they followed Maltina. And so, everyone, including Aru, managed to get out of the labyrinth workshop filled with ash demon golems. In the end, Aru formed a contract with Maltina. That was because Aru showed interest in the dolls. The god said to hate humans somehow hit it off with Maltina. あら、この造形美がわかるなんて、さすが工芸の送信ですわね。いいですわ。これから期待していますわよ。アルル。Linguist to react to this game. Why a linguist? 新しい着想。あなたといれば今までにない作品で
きそうだから勇気出して頑張る。よかったね姉さん、これでドールが強化できるよ。我が楽団もさらに研ぎ澄まされますわ。楽しみですわ。
I guess the dolls somehow served as an offering to her? While the Marduk College rejoiced, the members of the Harmonia College seemed disappointed in a separate area.
ドール好きな送信がいるなんて思わなかったの。私たち今回は収穫なしだね。骨折り損って感じ。
Well, we managed to save Aru, so that should be enough. That's one less thing for Marduk to worry about.
それにマルドゥック派の戦い方も見れたし。気を落とすな。次うまくいく。
They all faced each other and cheered each other up. Let's head back. Negotiations and contracts don't always work with gods. Things like this happen.
それにしてもどうしてアルルの攻防がダストで汚染されたのかしら。
Yeah, that is the question. True, that is odd. I hope it's not a harbinger of something like that massive oblivion like last time. アリア、浮かない顔だけどどうかしたの？
うん。そのダストのことで気になることがあって。
Got something in mind? Shin asked as Arya shook her head.
ごめんね。確証がある話じゃないし、気にしないで。
If you say that, now you're making me curious.
ごめん。今はまだ。
Just smells you and activities. There are some that barely have a notion of verbal structure. Well, it's not written to be like formal all throughout, right? So there's probably some things that get omitted because like you're trying to actually I'm not sure what sounds exactly you're referring to, but specific to Maltina. The verbal tics. Arya didn't seem like she wanted to say any further. Shin gave up and urged everyone to head back. And so, the first expedition with Namtar ended rather awkwardly. The majority of the Cagliostro Academy of Magic is surrounded by forests. The Harmonia College's workshop is also located inside the forest. Shin and the others commute there from the college and dorms every day. Shin and Arya were by the path in the forest. There was no one else nearby.
今から話すことは まだ推測の域を出ないし、他言無用でお願いしたいんだけど。
Sure. It was something Arya wanted to talk about alone. It was only moments ago when she asked him for some time. She had an idea of what she wanted to talk about.
アルルの迷宮工房がダストで汚染されたことなんだけど。
There were no signs of oblivion in that area according to prior observations, so you're concerned about the source of the dust, right?
やっぱりシンも疑問に思っていたのね。あの時、ダストの汚染源はアルルがゴーレムを作るのに使っていた器だった。そのために開魔化したゴーレムが生まれてきた。けれど工芸神が大事な器をそう簡単に汚染させるかしら。どうしてあの器の泥に大量のダストが混ざったと思う？
There are several possibilities. The most likely possibility was to activate the dust that was in the depths of the ground. But that was unlikely for a god as powerful as Araru to be accidentally contaminated.
ダストは私たちが近づいたタイミングで発生した。そこに因果関係を見出すことはできない？
Dust delivered by Amazon. That better be free shipping. Are you saying the dust formed because we came?
正確にはマルドゥック派。
Arya kept her voice low as the conversation became more serious.
私たちがアルルの工房に突入する前、あの新潟って呼ばれているドールが出てきたよね。
Martina and friends said it was investigating in advance.
開魔化したゴーレムが出現する前後、あのドールは単独行動をとってるわ。
Are you saying that the culprit of the dust contamination is type 2?
これはあくまで可能性の問題よ。新潟にできたというだけで証拠は何もない。でも
Oh, it did update. When you reset the follow. So, Type 2 could have intentionally spread the dust. Type 2 had a stealth mode. On top of that, being a doll made them resist the dust. Type 2 could sneak into Aru's workshop and mix the dust in the mud jar. But why? Why would it do such a thing?
アルルには酷化してもらった方が都合が良かったとか？
For sure. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. They intentionally tried to turn her into a heinous god?
面倒な契約の手順を踏むより、透滅して知識だけ吸い出した方が手っ取り早い。ヨハン教授はそう考えたのかも。マルドゥック派には他にもドールの素材に家臣から抽出した人種を使っているし、利用法はあるのよ。
That may make sense, but that's no different from what the destroyers are doing. Not wanting to accept that theory, Shin instinctively shook his head. Do Maltina and friend know of this?
シン、落ち着いて。今言ったのはあくまで推測。それにたとえ事実だとしても、マルチナさんたちは何も知らないと思う。
So it's Professor Johann acting on his own?
真相を知る人間は少なければ少ないほどいいのよ。マルチナさんたちには酷化したアルルを透滅したっていう単純な結果だけあればいい。
And only Type 2 and Professor Johann would know of how it eclipsed. Martina and friend did not act suspiciously in any way at the Labyrinth workshop. This reasoning was made based on Professor Johann being a possible suspect, but Shin couldn't help but think Arya's theory was right.
まあ問い詰めてもヨハン教授は尻尾を出さないだろうけど。シン、このことは自分だけの胸に留めておいて。少なくとも今はまだ。
Got it. It's not something we can deeply look into either. To be honest, Shin didn't want to believe it. They may be opposing the Marda College, but he believed them to be good competitors and rivals. Shin gazed up at the sky peeking between the trees. In the distance, they can see a glimpse of the workshop tower managed by the Marda College. I really hope your theory is wrong.
そうだね。
I'll try the request. That won't work. Yeah. They got the 2 ancient class ones back, right? Like they got Ogarurum and Anzu, but the rest the rest is like not really open for negotiation, I think. His rage and frustration made Shin's sigh heavier than the norm. In the afternoon, Shin and the others were focused on their research and making formulas. That was when Arya rushed in with shocking news.
みんな大変よ、学長が。アリア、何かあったの？そんな血相を変えて。お父様がどうかしたの？それが。
Arya turned to the others as she collected her breath.
ファースト学長が大津遠征の計画を発足させるって。詳細はこれから錬金術師を集めてその場で語るみたい。
Oh, they're going to the... Oh my god, what? What?
大津遠征、大津に向かうの？学長はそのつもりみたい。具体的な方法や計画なんかは話を聞いてみないとわからないけど。
Celis, have you heard anything? To Shin's question, Celis shook her head delightedly.
全然知らされていなかったわ。お父様、大津遠征なんて一体いつから？とにかく実際に話を聞いてみるしかないの。
Arya, where's the Chancellor's conference?
行動よ。それで私、みんなを呼びに来たの。
I bet all the alchemists from all the colleges will be there. And something large was going to happen. Shin couldn't help but tremble at the premonition. The auditorium was filled with murmurs. Everyone gathered there was discussing the expedition to Ur. Why was it happening now? Would it be possible to even get there? All sorts of heated discussions flew about. The clamor suddenly became quiet. The Chancellor of the Magic Academy, King Faust VII, took the stage.
諸君、突然の招集相すまぬ。こたびの件について皆に余計な先入観と混乱を与えるのは避けたかったのだ。故にこのような運びとなったことをまずは詫びよう。議題は聞いての通りだ。私は近々大津への遠征を考えている。軍と錬金術師主導による極めて大規模なものとなるであろう。これは学長としてだけではなく国王としての意志、カリオストロ王国の総力を挙げての事業と捉えてもらいたい。
A murmur spread throughout the crowd. The Chancellor silenced them before continuing his words.
皆には今更説明するまでもないことだが、大津とは我らが祖師への外側にあるとされる世界だ。この大津から流れ込むダストに長い間我らは苦しめられてきた。送信や人間はこれまでオブリビオンに抗ってきたが、しかしその対策は後手に回ってきた。大津遠征はその現状を打破するための起死回生の一手だ。遠征の成功によって私は大津の謎を暴き、ダストを克服するための手がかりを得たいと考えている。
The Chancellor paused before taking a look at the alchemists that gathered at the auditorium.
恐れながら学長、いえ、陛下とお呼びすべきでしょうか。質問をしても。
いつも通り学長と呼んでくれたまえ、天藤教授。それで質問とは？
はい、遠征とおっしゃいますが、どうやって大津へ至るのですか？知っての通り、ダストの濃度は境界に近づくほど増していきます。我々が後手に回ってきたのは、大津の環境がおよそ人の生存を許さないものだからです。
Yeah, I'm kind of remembering that too, but they never heard from her anymore, right? Because a lot of the people who followed her then turned back. Because, like, obviously, they couldn't take it. She was the only one who, or her mentor was the only one who, like, just kept going. But we have, like, no idea what happened after.
無論それは考慮しておる。私は遠征を心に描いてからその実現に向けて方策を練ってきた。そして私は太陽のオリジンシャマシュと契約するに至ったのだ。
What? Huh? It was blurred so casually. Shin thought he had heard wrong at first. He would have missed it if he wasn't listening carefully. As the Chancellor stepped forth on stage, he reached for his belt on his hip.
太陽神シャマシュよ、光を司る審判の神よ、命約に基づき今こそ姿を現さん。
From the gem on his belt, a blinding light shined brightly. The spell was cast as it formed layers of circles and reached the ceiling.
カイザーベルト、代々カリオストロ王家に継承される神器を最高位のエーテルギアにして王家の象徴。
That's the Kaiser belt?
いざ降臨せよ、シャマシュ！
What? The Kaiser belt summons judgment song? What? I feel like that wasn't really like part of the text. A magic circle shone brightly. Gold dust fluttered in the air as it formed a single silhouette. And then... fluttering the wings on her back, a cute but mystique young girl soared down on the stage. Now's your chance. You have a lot of spectators to... Bro! With a crown resembling the sun on her head, her tan skin and her priestess gear enhanced her sacred appearance. That girl is Shamash?
太陽を司るオリジンの最高神、そして王国の象徴。
The auditorium was filled with silence. As the girl stepped on the stage with her bare feet, she looked down at the crowd with a stunned expression.
よくぞ我が招きに応じてくれた。さあシャマシュよ、皆にそなたの権能を語ってほしい。
いや、どうしてこんな大勢人がいるところに呼んだの？約束が違うわ、ファースト。
The girl quickly slipped behind the Chancellor, her wings speaking out shivered in fear.
ひどいわ、ひどいわ。急にこんな場所に呼び出してどうしろというの？
神にあるまじき上がり症は相変わらずか。シャマシュよ、そなたがもっと堂々としておれば国の神事もはかどるものをな。
苦手なものは苦手なの。そんなこと言われても困るわ。王国の象徴だって名前だけ貸してくれればいいってあなたのひいひいずっとひいおじいさんが言うから引き受けただけなのに。
分かっておるよ。我が父祖が長らくそなたと交信できなかった理由が極度の人見知りと知った時には何とも微妙な気持ちになったものだがな。
What the fuck? What?
学長、その方が本当に太陽神シャマシュなのですか？
As the crowd remained stunned, Professor Johann stood up to ask Faust the question. Regaining his composure, Faust nodded.
いかにも彼女こそ最高位のオリジン太陽神シャマシュ、その意識を持った化身である。
Stepping aside with a smug look, the Chancellor introduced Shamash. But the girl matched his movements and slid across to hide behind the Chancellor once again.
まあ少々シャイなところがあるが気にしてくれるな。太陽神ともなればそう簡単に人前に姿を晒さないものゆえな。
Professor Johann was dumbfounded at the sight of the Chancellor and Shamash.
それで学長、先の質問の答えなのですが。
オーズに到達するための方法であったな。それにはシャマシュが力を貸してくれる契約となっておる。
太陽神シャマシュは
Noticing everyone's eyes on her, the girl curled up even more to tuck her wings in.
私が代わりに説明しよう。シャマシュにはソシエを照らす太陽の運行を司る権能がある。本来これは大陸全体に太陽の恩恵を行き届かせるためのものだが、この光にはダストを滅却する力があるのだ。そこで私は考えた。太陽の光を一方向に照射できれば、オーズまでの童貞を阻むダストに風穴を開けることができるのではないかと。
I mean, I feel like if that's how it worked, they would have done this a long time ago. But clearly that's...
そのために私はシャマシュと契約した。オーズ遠征を成功に導くため力を貸してくれと。彼女はその願いに応えてくれた。
Like, wait, I mean, you can punch a hole and you can get in, but after that, like, is she just gonna have to keep beaming through so that she can clear the dust while you're inside? Like, the fashion of vacuum cleaner? Yeah, but that seems... Ross placed his hand on the girl's shoulder. Prompted by him, Shamash peeked her head out. Like, does it have a pressure? I mean, like, in the context of this, right? Like, I don't doubt that she can, like, clear the way. But the thing is, while they're inside, she's gonna have to keep clearing the way the entire time. So, like, how long are they gonna stay there? Right? So she's just constantly blasting the freaking place with light, bro? Is that how it's gonna work? Pierce a hole in the layer of dust using the sun to make a route to ore.
さすが学長。発想のスケールが違うね。
これなら本当にオーズ遠征ができるかもしれないのだわ。
No, being alive by the end of the expedition, yeah. And like, I again, like, I don't question her ability to be able to do that once, but like, I don't know if she'll be able to maintain it for like God knows how long, right? Henry's eyes twinkled. Astarte, who became a heinous god, was an ore. She wouldn't bring it up, but it was clear she was thinking about it for a while. Even Shin wanted to uncover the mysteries of ore. Now that it was becoming a reality, he suddenly felt excited.
無論、それだけで遠征が成功するとは私も考えていない。こたびのオーズ遠征は、これまで考えもしていなかった苦難の連続になるであろう。故に私は、皆の総力を結集することを望む。あらゆる手立てを尽くし、英知を振り絞って、祖師への希望をつなぐのだ。皆、オーズ遠征に向けてたゆまず進んでほしい。出発はまだ先だが、計画は今、この時より始動した。それは我らの戦いが今日始まったことをも意味する。
Ross concluded his speech there. Silence filled the crowd once again. But the silence was different from before. The alchemists there were looking forward to the great adventure to ore and began to wonder what they can do.
シャマシュ、最後にそなたからも何か言葉を。
To the request from her contractor, she looked as if she lightly nodded. Stepping forward, she looked down at the crowd and then... A bright flash filled the room and Shamash disappeared. Particles of light that made up her body fluttered down at the crowd.
光でごまかしたのだわ。
この光が彼女なりの励ましなんじゃないかな。
From this day on, the Dust Battlefront entered a new phase. For the first time, both gods and mankind, who were only able to resist the dust until now, stepped up to fight. Faust VII stated this as the king and set the idea for the expedition to Ur. People placed higher expectations on the military and alchemists. Driven by the expectations, they all began to take action. Why shouldn't say smash? Bruh. She's probably way too shy. She's probably gonna be like the last one we managed to get if like the story is gonna head in the direction of like getting her primordial element as well. Oh, sorry. Wait, really? That's 4 times 3 times 2. So that's like 5 factorial divided by Earth. Is it divided by or? Man, I don't remember combinations anymore. Fuck. It's just 5 factorial? No, but then you'd have to account for doubles, no? Or for repeats, right? Anyway. Why am I thinking about math right now? I fucking... we still don't have like a new farming stage, so we're not gonna farm yet. Brother and sister, Maltina and her demon partner friend. The secret relationship between the two is revealed. Okay. Now that's another multiplier. Shin was researching something in the library. Between the narrow bookshelves, he spotted a familiar figure. Looking up from his book, the figure came back and smiled at him.
よかった。ここにいたんですね。
Hey friend, what's up?
実は、シンさんやエンリの力を借りたいことがあって。
私も？
From the other bookshelf, Henry poked her head out. Friend nodded as he gestured the two over rather hesitantly.
少し話を聞いてもらっていいですか?
Sure. Shin and Henry turned to each other before they walked over to the table where a friend waited.
実は今、姉さん専用のドールを作っているところなんです。姉さんは命令式を飛ばしてからドールが動くまでのラグを可能な限りなくしたいと考えていて。
I see. She wants to improve the transmission for the dolls.
マルチナはきっとドールを手足のように操りたいのね。
They managed to see how Maltina fights in the previous battle. If the mobility of the dolls is enhanced, she would be able to refine her battle strategy.
以前マザー少佐の義手をエンリーが完成させましたよね。あの技術が応用できると思うんです。だから厚かましいお願いなのは分かってます。だけど姉さん、見ていて心配になるくらい根を詰めてて。
Ow. I hit the post of my desk. Alright, so you want me to help create her dolls, right? Shin smiled, stopping Friend's attempt to convince him. You've helped me many times, so let me help you where I can.
きっと役に立てると思うの。
Shin pat Friend's shoulder as Enri responded with a smile. To be honest, Shin held a grudge against the dolls that required dust crystals harvested from Venus gods. But with the expedition to war coming up, it was necessary for alchemists in various colleges to surpass the borders and join forces.
ありがとうございます。
Then, would you mind taking us to Maltina?
まずはドールの現物を見てみたいの。
じゃあ姉さんの工房に。
Just as he turned around while speaking, spotting his sister there, Friend immediately froze on the spot.
やっぱり彼らに会いに行ったのですわね、フレン。姉さん。
Maltina stood in the aisle in front of the bookshelves. She stomped toward them and grabbed Friend by his arm.
戻りますわよ、フレン。こんなところで油を売ってる場合ではありませんわ。待ってよ姉さん、今シンさんたちが協力してくれるって。ハルモニア派の手を借りるわけにはいきませんわ。いいから来なさい、フレン。
Maltina pulled Friend's arm forcefully.
やだ、どうしてそんな意固地なの。学派のプライドにこだわってる場合じゃないって姉さんだって本当は分かってるくせに。そういう問題ではありません。フレン、あなたは何も分かっていないのですわ。姉さんこそ。
The two clashed in the aisle of the library. With Friend being more disobedient than usual, Maltina seemed to be more aggressive. You guys, calm down a bit.
あなたには関係ありませんわ。これは兄弟の問題なのですから引っ込んでなさい。姉さん、どうしていつもそんな言い方しかできないの。シンさんたちと協力し合えればもっといろいろできるのに。いい加減になさい。
Enraged, Maltina swatted Friend away. Losing his balance, Friend crashed onto the bookshelf behind him, landing on his bottom. Several books fell from the impact. Quit that, Maltina. Friend came here to talk with me since he was worried about you.
余計なお世話ですわ。妙な気を回さず、言いつけを守っていればいいのです。
Did you have to say that?
フレン、大丈夫？
僕は平気だよ、エンリー。
Henry reached out to Friend. She crouched down to put the books back that fell on him.
あれ？これ、
どうしたの？
これ、今揉み合っていって落ちたんじゃないかしら。
Henry picked up a small locket hanging off a thin chain. The cover must have opened when it fell and made the photo on the inside apparent.
これ、フレン？
But something seems different. The friend in the photo seemed much younger. He was grinning with his mouth wide open and seemed to be an energetic boy. Wait, how would a demon partner have a childhood?
返しなさい。
Startled, Maltina snatched the pendant from Henry's hand. Is the person in the photo a human and not a demon partner? The two gasped. Perhaps Shin said something he shouldn't, so he thought, but the words coming out of his mouth did not stop. Sal's mentioned? Yeah, I remembered, like, the real friend is a human. Sal said she played with Friend as a child. Is that the boy in the photo inside the pendant? Maltina's real younger brother. Was Friend a demon partner created using him as a base? Come to think of it, there were some odd points to Friend. Martina made it seem like it was natural for Friend to call her his big sister. Salas, who was an old acquaintance, had some mixed feelings about Friend as well. I did think he was a special demon partner since the start. Shin carefully studied Friend again. Aside from his high skills, there must be another secret. Shin's instincts as an alchemist were telling him.
お察しの通りですわ。フレンは私の弟。今のフレンは病で亡くなったフレンをモデルに作り出された10魔なのですわ。
I knew it.
けれど、どちらも私の弟であることに変わりはありません。いえ、フレンは変わらずフレンなのですわ。
亡くなった子も今のフレンも同じだって言いたいの？
Necromancy? Oh no.
フレンを作ったのはヨハン教授です。教授は不可能と言われた記憶の移植を実現させたのですわ。
Transplant memories? So Friend has the memories of your younger brother that died? It was almost unbelievable. To transplant memories from a human to a demon partner. How precise would the spell need to be to do that? Once again, Shin was reminded of Professor Johan's talent as an alchemist.
そう。ヨハン教授のおかげで私とフレンは一緒にいられる。だから私はヨハン教授に尽くすと決めているのですわ。
Bro! Dude. It's too bad that Johan is like too obsessed with the Philosopher's Stone, because otherwise he would have been able to ask him for help with Namtar, man. Like, bro! Oh my god, dude. Martina's tone seemed emotional. You can sense her strong will and devotion to the Marda College, even if it meant going against the Harmonia College.
シンさんは敵じゃないのに、どうしてそんなに堅くななの？あなたは何も分かっていないの、フレン。マルドゥック派とハルモニア派が並び立つことはありませんわ。そんな。いいから来なさい。
She didn't let him speak further. Martina grabbed Friend's wrist and left the scene while dragging him away. Shin and Henry were left with the scattered books. I never expected Friend to be a demon partner with the human memories implanted in him.
フレン、辛そうな顔してたの。心配なのだわ。
I hope he doesn't bottle it up. Currently, there wasn't much Shin and the others can do to help. Martina probably won't let them approach the dolls or even Friend.
ドール制作の手伝いをする雰囲気じゃないみたい。
Let's go back to our research. Soon after, Shin and Henry went back to the books with mixed feelings. With the plan to go to war initiated, the alchemists of the academy had more work to do on top of their usual research. It was mainly making plans for the expedition and proposals. They were also encouraged to take part in segments for identifying issues in the proposed plans along with prioritizing certain issues. Although the expedition was to use Shama's sun to pierce a hole in the dust, there was room for fine adjustments for the details. To successfully operate the plan that the entire nation was focused on, they were collecting many ideas from numerous fields. Of course, the Harmonia College made reports in preparation for the expedition.
レポート、もう事務局には提出したのでしょ？
Yeah, we're just waiting for the response. Martina. Shin was walking with Celis in the academy. He slowed down as he noticed Martina and Friend approaching them.
ごきげんよう、二人とも。調子はどう？あなたたちも遠征の計画書を作っているのでしょ？
あなたに話すことはありませんわ。
Oh my god, she's really amping it up.
でも、お互い遠征に参加する同志でしょ？
いい子ぶるのも、行き過ぎると嫌味になりますわよ。
Martina appeared to be harsh as always as she tried to walk past them.
フレン、何かあったの？私、彼女を怒らせるようなことをしたかしら？
僕。こ この際だから言っておきますわ。
Cutting off friend who was about to speak, Maltina stood between the two.
今のフレンはあなたの知ってる頃と違いますの。あまり慣れ慣れしくしないでくださる。
マルチナ。
行きますわよ、フレン。
姉さん。
Taking friend's hand, Maltina left the scene in a hurry. I heard the demon partner friend was born with Maltina's younger brother's memories transplanted in him.
シン、知っていたの？
I was informed last time. I did think he was a bit different from normal demon partners. Shin regained his composure and resumed walking. Solace followed. You know about this, didn't you?
ええ、マルチナたちとは幼い頃から知り合いだったから。フレン、生前の弟ともいつも遊んでいたわ。とってもやんちゃで元気いっぱいの子だった。けれど病気になって命の灯火が消えていくように少しずつ衰弱していった。私も何度もお見舞いに行ったのだけど。
I see. It must have been hard.
一番辛かったのはマルチナだと思うわ。弟のこととても可愛がっていたから。だから10枚の記憶移植が成功した時は本当に嬉しかったのでしょうね。彼女が錬金術の勉強を始めたのはそれからすぐのことだったわ。
I'm not surprised why she's so devoted to Professor Johan too.
ごめんなさい、今まで黙っていて。
No, it's a sensitive matter, and it wouldn't have been good for you to talk about Maltina's situation so lightly.
そう言ってもらえてほっとするわ。
Sala smiled lightly, but a hint of glumness lied in that smile.
私、今のフレンのこと、生まれ変わりのように考えすぎていたのかもしれない。
So far not yet. Apart from like the demon partner being like the actual younger brother. There's nothing new.
昔のように仲良くできたら、そう思っていたのだけど、マルチナは同じように思ってはくれないみたいね。
Maltina is definitely like amping up the hostility though, for some reason. Well, you both have considerable reputation, so it can't be helped. But I'm sure Maltina doesn't hate you or anything.
そうだといいけど。
Sal stared into the distance for a while.
セレス、シンではないか。良いところであったな。
Excuse me. Chancellor. As soon as they entered the hall, Chancellor Faust stopped them. Unlike Maltina, the Chancellor waved his arm casually as he approached them.
ハルモニア派のレポートは読ませてもらったぞ。移動可能な結界を構築するというのは面白いアイディアだ。それを家臣保護に利用するというプランもな。
Thank you. Approved by the Chancellor, Shin was filled with happiness.
では採用してもらえるのですか？特に家臣の保護は浄化の布石となる措置で。
前向きに検討したいとは思っているが。おい、シン。
Faust leaned near Shin and put his arm around the shoulder. What is it, Chancellor?
そなた、いつもセレスと一緒におるようだが、不純異性交友などしていないだろうな。
It's a bit too late for that. Oh no, man. What? I'm not. Not a new demon stars. Revert the narrator for original inability to accept death. Yeah.
ならばよいが、私の認めぬうちはセレスとの交際なぞ許さぬぞ。よいな、肝に銘じておけ。
Yes.
学長？シンと何を話しているのですか？
なーに、ちょっとした世間話だ。ははは。
Say it right, that's funny. Celeste gave him a scornful look as the Chancellor stepped away quickly.
ハルモニア派のレポートだが、ある問題があってな。
Problem? If it's something we can fix, please let us know.
いや、そなたらの責任というより、これは外的な要因なのだが。
Which means? With the Chancellor blurring his answer, Shin asked back.
遠征事業には多くの思惑が絡む。学派同士の主張の違いによって衝突が起こるのは予想できたことだ。
Which means?
マルドック派ですか？
近いうち波乱が起こるのは覚悟しておいてほしい。私はあくまで公正に取り組む。今言えるのはそれくらいだ。
Not giving a clear response to Celeste's question, Faust turned his back on her.
二人ともたゆまず進め。応援しておるぞ。
お父様。
Once peeking over his shoulder, the Chancellor took his leave. That bothers me, both how Maltin acted and the Chancellor's words. In the back of Shin's mind, he recalled the secret discussion he had with Arya. Professor Johann may be eclipsing the gods intentionally. If that were true, how would that affect the expedition to Or?
学長なりの忠告だったのかもしれないわ。遠征の前に白黒つける機会がやってくるかもしれない。
Celeste must not know about the suspicions he had for the Marda College, but she had a stern look as if she had a premonition. The trouble that the Chancellor hinted at earlier came to the Harmonia College as disturbing information.
どうかしたアリア？浮かない顔だけど。
Celeste asked, noticing her expression when she returned to the workshop.
今ソニア先生を見舞ってちょっと話を聞いてきたんだけど。
Miss Sonia said something? Curious, Shin raised his head from the documents he was reading.
近々マルドゥック派が遠征プランの発表会を行うみたい。すべての学派を招くつもりだって。
In the Marda College, I wonder if it's something that conflicts with the plan to be submitted.
詳細はわからないけど可能性は高いと思う。それでね、自分たちの計画を通すためにどうもいろいろ根回しをしている気配なの。
根回し？
発言力の高い学派と意を通じてマルドゥック派の計画を後押ししてもらおうとしてるみたい。
Which means... They all turned to each other in shock. There's a chance that our plans would be crushed?
ハルモニア派とマルドゥック派の計画が両立の難しいものだったら当然そうなるね。
そんな一生懸命作ったのに。
Henry's expression clouded. Arya shook her head weakly. Chancellor Faust did say he was going to evaluate things equally, but if the Marda College is laying out the groundwork with other colleges, they probably have an advantage. The Harmonia College was confident about their plan, but they couldn't help but be worried about their opponent's unknown ideas.
でもよくわかったわね。マルドック派がそんな裏工作をしているなんて。
Reagan nervously while they're gone.
ソニア先生と旧知の方がね、お見舞いのついでに忠告してくれたの。その方の属する学派にもマルドゥック派の要請が来たみたいで。
I see.
私にはそういうつながりがあまりないから、ごめんね。私のせいでハルモニア派が孤立しちゃって。
It's not your fault, Arya. I think they're just prodding at our weaknesses.
だからといっておとなしく引き下がるわけにはいかないわ。マルドゥック派の発表の前に私たちの計画をもっと固め直そう。根回しなんかに負けないくらい盤石にすればいいのだわ。
Yeah, I agree with Henry. They all nodded to her positive words.
ねえシン、王家に関する歴史や神事に関する書物って図書館にあったかしら？
What is it all of a sudden?
カリオストロ王家はカイソ・ヘルメスから錬金術師と深い関係があるし、調べればあると思うけど。
そう。だったら。
Alice placed her finger on her cheek as she went into thought. Is there something bothering you?
太陽神シャマシュが審判の神として裁定も司っていたことを思い出して。
あの子が審判の神？
Recalling how hesitant her avatar acted on stage, Henry had a look of suspicion.
マルドゥック派が裏工作をするなら、私たちもそれなりの心構えがあった方がいいでしょ？ちょっと調べ物に行ってくるわ。
I'm not sure what you mean, but if that's the case, do you want me to help?
いいえ、私一人で大丈夫だから、シンたちは計画の補強を進めて。
Okay, if you say so. She must have some idea. She nodded as he watched her leave.
さあ、マルドゥック派の発表まであまり間がないよ。私たちも集中しよ
う。わかったの。
From there, they all stayed late at night and discussed how to improve their plans. A few days later, the Marduk College held their own presentation for their expedition plans to Ore. Many were interested in the Marduk College that owned the dolls. Plenty of associates from the academy took part. Of course, the Harmonia College was no exception as they made their way to the lecture hall where the conference was held. The majority of the seats were filled with associates. Trying to find a spot, Shin gandered around the room.
Shin, ここだ。
Chancellor.
う。学長も来ていたんですね。
With the others excusing themselves around the Chancellor, there were a few empty seats near him. Shin thanked him and took a seat beside him. Soon after, Professor Johann took the stage.
マルチナも一緒だわ。ドールもいるわね。
It's the Type 2. Surprised at the new Type 2, a murmur ran through the audience. Type 2 cranked his neck almost like a human as he eyed the humans from the stage.
すでに知っている者もいるだろうが、彼がドール2型だ。従来のドールより各性能が強化されている。その真骨頂は極めて高い自立能力にあると言えるだろう。来たる大津遠征ではこの2型が大きな役割を担う。
従来のドールと違い、2型には命令を全てインプットする必要はないのですわ。大まかな方針を与えれば自分で判断して最良の行動を選択することができるのです。それがダストを戦火において極めて有用な能力であることは皆さんお分かりでしょう？
Type 2 puts its hand on its chest as if it were showing off its confidence. Many voices of admiration were heard from the audience. Its movements seemed more natural, or should I say, human-like.
さて、前置きはここまでにしてプランの説明に入ろう。我がマルドゥック派が遠征にどう貢献するかの定義だ。2型をはじめとするドール部隊を中核に据えての大津探索。詳細はこちらをご覧いただきたい。
A pamphlet about their plan was distributed to everyone, including Shin. As Martinov assisted Professor Johann, he explained the details of their plan. Their main idea was to use the dolls. The dolls will be deployed to the contaminated area and scout for ash demons and heinous gods, if possible slaying them while they're at it. This way, the alchemists that follow can safely explore. Each doll is programmed with army tactics, which means they can work together under the command of their leader, and thus they are extremely reliable.
汚染環境下でも稼働できるのがドールの基本スペックだ。そしてドールが過信やカイマを減らせばダストの濃度も減る。安全が確保された地域を生身の人間が改めて見聞調査する。それが遠征の基本工程となるだろう。
理にかなっておるな。
ダストに影響されない軍隊、心強い存在であるのは確かね。
The Marduk College's presentation was received favorably so far. Professor Johann paused for a moment before inspecting the audience.
ところで私は 今回の遠征を資源回収の機会としても捉えている。
Collect resources?
どういう意味かしら。
Professor Johan's sudden statement, many raised voices of doubt. As if he was expecting that, he calmly continued to speak.
端的に言おう。資源とは家臣のことだ。私は今回の遠征で家臣を討伐すると同時にこれを回収することも目的としたい。
What? Shin couldn't believe what he was hearing when he spoke of the heinous gods like objects.
そもそも我がマルドゥック派は国化したマルドゥックを討滅し、その意外からあまたの英知を抽出した実績がある。そして家臣から摘出される人将はドールの上質な動力源となりうる。彼らは有効に利用されるべき資源なのだよ。
No way. Shin got up in surprise. The entire lecture hall focused on him. May I have a word, Professor Johan?
あなた発表中ですのよ。異論を唱えるのは後に。
構わんよ。発言を許可する。
ヨハン教授？
Johan silenced Maltina with his eyes before gesturing to Shin to speak up. Heinous gods are originally gods that were victimized by the dust. They aren't resources. Alchemists should join forces with gods. So that's why you joined hands with an ash demon? I wish you'd stop being so idealistic.
ただの理想じゃありません。私たちは実際に家臣浄化を成功させてます。
To the accusations, Ari raised her argument immediately. Following Shin, she rose from her seat.
重ねて言いますが、ハルモニア派はもう家臣を助ける方法を確立しているんです。それなのに家臣を片っ端から討伐して資源とするのは正しいことでしょうか。私たちはむしろ家臣浄化に全力を尽くすべきです。それでこそ明日に希望をつなぐオーズ遠征の意義がある。そう思いませんか？
Aria's words, the entire lecture hall turned silent. Through a righteous argument, everyone was at a loss for words, but they were also shocked to see the Harmonia College and Warda College face each other head-on. Shin could sense that everyone in the room was watching to see what would happen.
現実問題としてだ、アリア君。家臣浄化には制約が多く、高度な錬成式を必要とする。オーズ遠征という困難な事業の最中に、それをする余裕があると思っているのかね。家臣を助けようとするあまり、犠牲が出るかもしれない。全滅するリスクさえあるのだ。それでも君は、家臣浄化を試みると。
それについては私たちも対策を考えています。確実なのは家臣浄化が困難な場合、一時的な封印を施すことです。ダストから隔離できれば家臣が活性化することはありません。
Easier said than done. Would it really work?
私たちはオリジン・マルドゥックと契約しています。火のオリジンの協力があれば隔離のための結界は構築できます。ただそれには術式を操る錬金術師の数が必要になりますけど。でも遠征に参加する術師が結界のための陣形を組みながら進めば、家臣の封印だけじゃなくて探索の安全性も増すんです。
They came up with it after they submitted the report and learned of the Martha College's plans. This was a grand proposal that can only be made possible with a large number of alchemists. Shin followed Arya and added more details about the benefits.
私たち錬金術師はこれまで英知の限りを尽くして数々の試練を乗り越えてきました。皆が一丸となれば成し遂げられないことはないと信じます。ファウスト学長もその思いで今回の遠征を思い立たれたのではないでしょうか。
Let's go with the core rounds on this. Even if you verify, everyone dust still remains. Well, yeah, I think that's like the main goal of the expedition in the first place, is to try and figure out where the dust is coming from to begin with, right? The Chancellor remained mute with his arms crossed. He did not show signs of which side he planned on taking.
よかろう。これははっきりと答えを出さねばならない問題のようだ。上がってきたまえ、アリア君。
Johann gave a small shrug and gestured Arya to come to the podium. Arya, let me go too.
こればかりはヨハン教授の考えを認めるわけにいかないものね。
Shin and Arya headed to the stage where Professor Johann waited. Sals watched the two, looking worried.
ハルモニア派の諸君。優秀な君たちとこのように対立する形となってしまったのは残念だ。
I hate to agree. If there was a way for us to join forces, I'm sure we would have been able to do something great to save this land.
しかしその方法論に違いがある。わずかな妥協では埋められない溝がね。
It's wrong to be treating gods as objects. One day you'll end up digging your own grave at this rate. Professor Johann held up his hand. Shin turned quiet at his gesture that cut off his words.
やめにしないか、シン。どれだけ言葉を尽くしたところで、私たちの考えが交わることはないだろう。
Still,
それじゃどうするって言うんですか？
questioned by Arya, Johann glanced at Maltina. She answered on his behalf.
簡単なことですわ。ここには私たちの他に各学派の関係者が集まっています。私たちどちらの主張が正しいか彼らに決めてもらえばいいのですわ。
多数決で決めると。
Maltina nodded sharply. Her smile seemed to have a sense of confidence. Shin and Arya looked at each other in surprise. The Marda College already convinced the major colleges. They must have anticipated something like this to happen. So this must be why Maltina scolded Friend when he came seeking help.
ヨハン教授の考えは間違っていません。生き残るために全てを利用する。今はそういう時代なのですわ。私はヨハン教授を信じておりますの。ソシエの未来を案じているのが自分だけだというのはおごりですわ、シン。
Maltina was indebted to the professor for a friend. Perhaps she saw hope in Johann, who was able to implant her late brother's memories into a demon partner. Then, no matter how much Shin tries to speak of the cruelties against Xenius gods, Maltina probably wouldn't change her mind.
よろしいかな、諸君。これは重要な問題だ。大津遠征に赴けば家臣との接触は避けられない。家臣に対する方針を一致させておかねば調査隊への悪影響は必至だ。そこで
Professor Johann eyed the audience and eyed the alchemists and associates of each college involved in the expedition.
家臣は討滅を基本方針とし、可能なら資源として回収する。マルドゥク派のこの考えに賛同する者は起立してほしい。
待ってください。あまりに請求です。多数決で決めるにしてもせめてもう少し検討する時間を。
As Arya spoke, there was someone who stood up. Instantly, Arya turned as her eyes widened with surprise.
レプガント教授。
Professor Repgant looks over the Farshower College and seeks to unite the sages in ancient alchemical practices. He's been around since the time it was a research institute. Arya looked up to him.
レプガント教授。まさか教授ほどの人がマルドック派に。
Following him, his disciples also began to rise. Murmur echoed throughout the lecture hall, but he wasn't the only one to stand. Professor Cicero specializes in the ecology of ash demons. Professor Amatu, a leading expert in herbalism. Even Professor Mutsugaro, an authority in demon partner creation, was in favor of the Marda College. Approval from renowned alchemists was more than enough to support Professor Johann's proclamation.
数えるまでもなく過半数は超えているようですわね。まだ文句はありまして。
Everyone, please listen. With Oblivion activating now, we have to cooperate with the gods.
理想だけではソシエの未来を守ることはできない。君たちも彼らのようにそれを理解したまえ。 そしてだ。
Professor Johann shifted his gaze toward Chancellor Faust, who continued to remain silent in his seat.
よろしいですか、学長。我がドール部隊の運用、そして家臣への対処ですが。
難しい問題であるな。マルドゥック派とハルモニア派、双方に言い分がある。どちらか一方が正しいとも言い切れぬ。しかしヨハン教授の申す通り、意見を対立させたままでは遠征も立ち行かない。
With that said, Chancellor Faust looked at Arya and Shin.
ハルモニア派よ、こたびばかりはやむを得ぬ。家臣浄化の志を捨てよとは言わぬ。だが今回はマルドゥック派に方針を譲ってはどうか。
But Chancellor,
往生際が悪いですわよ、シン。ダダをこねるだけで物事がひっくり返ると思っているんですの？
多数決の工作をしていたくせに。
あら、何を根拠にそんなことを言ってるんですの？
Maltina laughed as if she tasted victory. The majority of the alchemists decided with the Marta College gave Shin and Arya cold stares. Will this not work? We're going to an expedition to Or, but we have to side those who plan on slaying the heinous gods? I don't want this.
シン、アリア、異論があるならば後で一度だけ発言する機会を与えよう。しかしこの場は下がれ。これ以上マルドゥック派の発表を妨げることは許さぬ。
お待ちください、学長。
With no hopes of matters to be reversed, Shin was in despair, but that was when Cella's dignified voice interrupted Faust.
わきまえよ、セレス。娘だからとこの私が甘い顔をすると思っているのではあるまいな。
いいえ、学長。そのようなつもりはありません。ですが私は多数決のやり方に納得がいっていません。客観的に見ても強引な進め方のように思えます。
その物言い、いくら王女といえど僭越ですわよ。
では起立した方の中で本当にマルドゥック派が正しいと確信した方はどれほどおられますか？
Cella was not intimidated and eyed the room with a firm attitude.
率先して立ったのはレプガンと教授をはじめ高位術師の方々ばかり。自分の死や尊敬する人に引きずられ流されて起立した方が多いのではないですか？
それこそ決めつけですわ。あなたは錬金術師を敵に回すつもりですの？
多数決よりふさわしい決定法があると言ったらどうですか？
何を？
To Cella's unexpected words, Maltina raised her voice. Taking that moment, Celis made her way up the stage. With the regality of a great ruler, she stepped forth. Chancellor Faust followed soon after.
聞かせてもらおうか。そのような方法があるというなら。
私の考えはこれです。
Celis took her ether gear, the shining hilt, and formed the blade of her rapier. She showed the glistening silver blade to the audience.
野蛮な武力に訴えようというんですの？
言葉に気をつけなさい、マルチナ。これは神聖な決闘よ。
決闘ですって？
Celis, are you serious? In a sense, this was the most shocking moment of the day. Shin couldn't help but to bluntly ask what Celis meant.
カリオストロ王家には決闘裁判の古い伝統があるわ。太陽神シャマシのもと公正なる決闘によって裁定を行う。
Trial by combat? What the What the fuck? What?
マルチナ、あなたもリーベ家の娘なら聞いたことくらいはあるでしょ？
Wait. What? I don't know how this is better, bro. Wait, what the fuck?
それはでもとうに風化した伝説でしょ。
我が父ファウスト7世はシャマシとの契約を復活させた。その伝説とて蘇ってもおかしくはないわ。学長はハルモニア派とマルドック派双方の言い分に利があるとおっしゃいました。ならばその是非をシャマシの裁定に委ねてみるというのはそれほどおかしなことでしょうか。
Chancellor Faust, who is her father, seemed to be pressured by Sulla's firm attitude. A trial by duel. The proposal sounded ridiculous on its own, but it suddenly became convincing once the name of the sun god Shamash was brought up. Bro, what the fuck? After all, Faust the king and contractor with Shamash was there. Depending on his response, the persuasiveness of the arbitrary method would change.
セレスがシンジやシャマシュについて調べるって言い出した時は何のことかと思ったけど。
I never expected a trial with a duel.
シャマシュの裁定か。私も忘れていたことを持ち出してきよって。ここで私がうなずけば娘に甘い親バカと見られるのは避けられるのかな。
学長
As Sullus tried to speak up, Chancellor Faust halted her speech with his hand. He then turned to Professor Johann.
セレスの申した通り、決闘とは神聖なものだ。どちらにも肩入れすることなく公正に行われ、その結果にはたとえ国王であっても口出しすることはできぬ。
決闘の具体的な取り決めについてお聞きしましょうか。
ヨハン教授？
Maltina seemed startled. Even the alchemists who sided with the Marduk College were surprised to hear Professor Johann's will to duel.
決闘裁判。禍根を残さぬためには多数決よりもふさわしいやり方かもしれないな。
Bro, what the fuck?
では決闘を受けてくださると。
しかし私たちの最大戦力はドールだ。決闘にドールを出すことは許可いただけるだろうか。
As if it understood the conversation, Type 2 began to fidget. Professor Johann glanced to the side as he narrowed his eyes.
それに決闘というからには以前やった模擬戦のような生ぬるい方法は通用しないな。死傷者が出る恐れもある。
それについては私に考えがある。コスモの海板を使えばよい。
We need to bring back combat courtrooms, bro.
No, man. I mean, conceptually, you might think it's like more fair than like a majority vote, but no, it's not. It's just like in that case, right? Like the difference is like, you have the groundwork of like getting the people who would vote on your side, and then the other one is like, who just fucking prepared for the duel in the first place? You know what I mean? Like, bro. Right, like who trains a bonk harder? It doesn't mean that what they fight for is like correct. It just means that they're a better fighter. You know what I mean? Like, bro. What the fuck?
海板？
盤上に決闘者をデータ化して投影すれば現実の体が傷つくことはない。もちろんドールの投影も可能だ。
よろしい。私に異論はありません、学長。
セレス、それにハルモニア派の諸君はどうかね。
They had to put a failsafe in, cause like ain't no way they're gonna have the freaking trial by combat and then have someone actually die. You know what I mean? Like, and because it would be an actual fight, bro. Well.
急に言われて戸惑ってるんですけど。
Shin and Arya turned to face each other. From Cella's idea, a duel was about to
A duel was about to begin. It would be great if they can prevent the slaying of heinous gods, but that doesn't mean a duel would make things easier.
シン、アリア、勝手に話を進めてごめんなさい。でもこれしか思いつかなかったから。
Is the duel a one-on-one?
詳細はこれから詰めるが、ドールもそなたらもチームでこそ進化を発揮するのだろう。ならば団体戦が良いと考えているのだが。
Alright. Shin was worried he'd make Celes shoulder everything. If it's a team competition, Shin would be able to do his best in the battle. Arya, let's accept this duel. The dolls may be strong, but if we back down here, we won't be able to save the heinous gods.
そうだね。腹をくくるしかなさそう。
Arya turned to Chancellor Faust with a serious expression.
決闘裁判のこと、受けたまわりました。私たちハルモニア派は参加を表明します。
Lady Dolls with 999 HP.
決まりだな。オーズ遠征に先んじて家臣への処置を決闘にて裁定する。これは決定事項である。
Many murmurs rose from the crowd. There was no going back. Shin could not help but feel excited with the real duel starting.
ヨハン教授、よろしいんですの？決闘なんて。
勝利すればハルモニア派の諸君も文句を言えないだろう。多数決よりもずっとやりやすくなる。
もう勝ったつもりですか？私たちは手強いですよ。
セレス、生意気な口を。
But we won't lose, Maltina. We'll hold no grudges. Let's fight fair and square.
結構ですわ。
Maltina didn't even try to hide her frustration as she turned away with a hug.
改版の設定には時がかかる。詳細なルールは事務局で取り決めるとして、決闘裁判の改定は後日としよ
う。ではそのように我が計画のすべてを発表するのもそれまで延期した方が良さそうですな。
The discussion came to an end there. This should have been a presentation of the Marta College's plans for the expedition, but with an unexpected turn of events, it turned out to be a trial by duel. All the attendees couldn't seem to hide their surprise as they left the room.
シン、ヨハン教授が決闘を受けたのは、その勝利に自信があるからだと思う。
I know, Arya. Let's make sure to be extra prepared. Shin spoke as he watched Johan take his leave.
もう、ほんとびっくりしたよ。
As they returned to the workshop, Arya spoke up first. Shin couldn't help but agree and nodded. I did not expect the duel to be held to make things clear.
ある意味セレスらしい気がするのだわ。ごめんなさい。事前に説明してなかったのは悪かったわ。私も決闘なんてしないならその方がいいと思っていたから。でもこのままマルテック派のやり方に従うのは嫌だったの。だから。
Celes apologized once again as she bowed.
ちょっとセレス、私責めてるわけじゃないよ。むしろよく言ってくれたって褒めてるくらいなんだから。
え？
私とシンだけじゃあの場の雰囲気に押し切られてた。セレスのおかげでチャンスができたんだもの。
Arya patted Celes' shoulder and smiled. Celes then let out a sigh of relief.
アリアこそヨハン教授に一歩も引かずハルモニア派の主張をして立派だったわ。学長が決闘を許したのもシンたちが話したハルモニア派のプランに説得力があったからだと思う。二人とも錬金術師としてのセンスはヨハン教授に劣らないもの。
それを言うならセレスもだよ。王女としての貫禄十分だった。
アリア、
セレス。
The two praised each other as they held hands.
まあ結束が強くなったのはいいことかしら。
アリアとセレス、仲良しか。シエウ、マモタルも。
Huh? Yeah. Namtar held her hand out as Shin reflexively held it back.
ナモタル、難しいことよくわからない。でもシンたちの役に立ちたいから。できることあるか？
Namtar. She must be worried about everyone's situation right now. Seeing Namtar's serious gaze, Shin came to a realization. Yeah, I'm counting on you. With you around, we'll be unstoppable.
シン、ナムタルを決闘に出すつもり？
They're bringing the dolls out too, which means not everyone has to be a human necessarily.
でもガイマは
Arya appeared upset. Just moments ago, the Harmonia College was criticized for harboring Namtar. So $5 with 999. God damn it, bro. It's probably gonna be like the generic ones and then the type 2, right? Oh my god. Maybe, okay. Please tell me we get the next farming map. Please. So I can upgrade my equipment, bro. It was natural for Arya to express her concerns to let Namtar take part in the duel. But Shin wanted to respect Namtar's will. Namtar said she wanted to help us. Namtar is part of our team, so during important times like this, she should be with us.
シンそうだよね。ごめん、私。
謝るより、こうした方がいいの。
Henry extended her dominant hand. Noticing her intentions, Shin placed his palm on top of her hand.
いいわね。ハルモニア派、みんなの気持ちを一つに。
The tool to copy them will be ready when my copy kidney stones. Well, it's not like they can use it anyway. There's not gonna be dust inside. Although, I guess it still has some effects even without absorbing dust. I'm trying to remember if like they activated it without actually being in the presence of dust, but most of the time it's usually when they're in make a doll and use core instead of dust. Suck the dust out of the dolls. Bro.
マルドゥック派には絶対負けない。
Come on, Namtar.
こうか？
Henry, Shin, Celis, Arya, and Namtar, the 5 members of the Harmonia College, placed their hands together in a circle. Typeset error. No matter who our opponent may be, we won't lose. Let's do this. Together at heart, the Harmonia College began to prepare for the upcoming duel against the Marduk College. Please tell me there's a No! There's no farming stage. Bro! Finally, the day of the trial by duel. With the entire academy focused on them, both teams gathered at the dueling grounds. Why they still call it a duel? I guess it's duels explicitly are meant to be 1v1. There's a second doll. Is that the type 3? Is the type 3 gonna be in there? Is that... there's a type 3? Bro. Uh-oh. Crap, okay. Well, there's no dungeon, there's no fight. It's just it might be it might be a story battle is the thing. I was holding off on my upgrade materials to just go directly to the B upgrade for everyone, but I might have to upgrade to something before that. As your software updates are a really good idea. Well, it's not a software update. It's a new model. It's a new release hardware. Although I guess the core on that one is gonna be different from the Type 2. Maybe, we don't know. We don't know yet. Crap, do I just upgrade to... Okay, so for the ones that can, right, so the teams Namtar, Henry, Celes, Arya, and Shin. I can't do... Yeah, because we don't have access to the horns. We don't have access to the horns, so I can't do Shin's B class, but I can do his C plus Poison Bunker. It actually gives him ranged options, like more ranged options. For Arya, same thing. I can't do that because I don't have dragon meat, but I can do the C plus, get her for fire, but then she loses out on her healing. Although I guess we have enough healing with Henry. Wire Cross Electric Wave beats String. Wire Cross Electric Wave Overcast. Next there's Rust. Rust String. Actually, I can get the C plus on... I can get the C plus on everyone except Namtar. I can go directly to the B plus, or to the B weapon. I just need like one extra golden apple branch. Yeah, I need one more golden apple branch. Well, we can make that with... Yeah, I have enough spiritual mercury. So I can do this. So I'll make a trident of ash. Spiked club of ash? That's... What? Dark demon cutter. Oh, bro, I can go directly to Namtar's A weapon? What the huh? Bro, what the fuck? Okay. Okay, let's do everyone else's weapons first. So for Shin, we got the poison bunker. Actually, is that better than... It makes him faster but less tanky. But we have Celes with the Celes with the cross guard share anyway. And yeah, this one's like also a bit more defensive. Oh, there's like a mid-grade. What the why? There's like a mid-grade? Are you serious, bro? C++. And this goes back to tanky build, basically. Actually, let's... For this one, golden pot. There's C++. Yep. There are C++ grade weapons here. Devil Slayer. Okay. Magna K500. What the fuck is this? Okay. I didn't realize there was like a middle grade. But if there's like a middle grade... I would have to like farm a bit more, I think? Question mark?
I mean, technically for Namtar, we could just go directly to A, but that seems excessive to just go straight to A for her. And for Shin... So this one is 1 Mithril Ore, 1 Heliodor. 1 Heliodor for Arya's. Whoops. And then Arya's uses Fairy Butterfly Wings. Enri's uses also... I can craft another Fairy Butterfly Wing, I think. Oh, I would have to craft like 4 Golden Apple branches to get another Fairy Butterfly Wing, but I think I have enough Spiritual Mercury for that anyway. The only problem is like, is it worth is it worth upgrading to the C++? I don't know if it's worth upgrading to the C++ though. Especially like this uses Mithril Ore and we're gonna need 2 Mithril Ore for the B grade weapon. So like I kinda don't wanna do it. We could also just buff up Namtar and just get the Dark Demon Cutter, because this one doesn't conflict, right? Like I already have the Orichalcum Ore and the Ruby. So like that's not gonna conflict with anyone. Do we need the Ruby for anything else here? I don't think so. Yeah, because this one's already made. This one... Yeah, for some of these we just don't have the material to begin with. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I think I'll just stick to the I'll stick to the C+. And just wait for the B, because like I don't want to waste the I don't want to waste the butterfly wings, right? Like, because we're gonna use the butterfly wings anyway for the next upgrade for them, and then we're also gonna use the Mithril Ore for the next upgrade for the others too. So there's like no point. I should just hold that. So for Shin, let's put this on. Let's put this on Enri. I am basically just relying on 1 healer now though. You don't have the double heal with Arya, because this is like all attacks. And then for the crest, let's release all. So this is physical, dark, physical, 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 light, earth, wind, light, heal, revive and heal, physical, and then physical, wind, physical, defense, oh, she has taunt. Yo, she has taunt. Okay, so making Shin less tanky is like fine, because Celas has this. Okay, and then this is Phalanx, and then we'll turn Arya into like a fire mage that has a wind attack and earth still. Yeah, her ult is still wind, but most of her basic attacks is like fire. Then darkness, physical, 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 damage cut, and physical. So,
Learn to deal physical damage to all enemies from the beginning of the round. Learn to increase damage to vessel types. Actually, I'm assuming the dolls are vessel types. So this actually works. If I equip this, we get the bonus. Fire element boost. That's probably increased damage dealt by fire element attacks. Okay. So we know that my fire on the team is just Arya. I don't think anyone else has fire. Yeah, it's just Arya who has fire. So for the crests, put this on Arya. Physical boosts, nature property, death resistance, instant death and indicated death. Oops. So the only one I know who's like mostly physical would be Shin, right? Oh, I guess this could work on Namtar too. Then fire element boosts. So just stack a bunch of fire element boost on Arya. Flying property, evasion against melee attacks. Increased damage dealt by magic attacks. Okay, so the only one who has magic is also Arya. So I'll put that on her. Water element boosts. I don't think anyone has water at all. I have to like keep double checking because like my short-term memory is just not keeping this in my head right now. Yeah, I don't have water at all. I don't think I've ever... well no, we had water with Sonya. But like Sonya's not here. Light element boosts. I mean, it's just on his ult though. Yeah, so it's just on Shin's ult, so that's like very little value. At least with Enri, we have this. We have Electric Wave, and we have a chance to paralyze as well, so I think we put this on Enri. Then other fire element boosts. So Arya's all stacked up with like 4 fire elemental boosts. She's gonna do like so much damage, I think. Assuming this stacks. I'm assuming all of this stacks. Get like 10, 35, 45 fire element boost plus 10 magic boost. I'm assuming that stacks. If it doesn't stack, then what the fuck am I doing? I have no clue. Then defense property. Okay, that one we're definitely putting that on Celes. And then physical boosts and vigilance property. Reduce critical chance of the enemy. Okay, we'll put that in Celes too. If Celes does have physical. Block properties. Block and reduce damage at a certain probability. Actually, now this one I think is important on Enri. Although we have like 4 of these, so I can probably put this on Celes as well. Depending on the attack. Accuracy and critical power. I think Namtar has like... Namtar's the one that has the crits, I think.
Python C plus ranker, would they be? I can't think of a connection off the top of my head right now. But also, like, my knowledge of Python and C++ is not that much, so I probably couldn't be able to make a connection. Wait, I did not put anything on Shin yet until now. What the fuck? Seriously? I didn't put anything on Shin? I guess you can use that. Oh, actually, he still has the debuff. Remove. No, he doesn't have it anymore. Right. That was on this one. The clearance dust. Add the sustain there. And then for Namtar, okay, we're recap on creation property. I have like no other crest I can put on Shin, bro. What the what the fuck do I put on him? You only have one of the physical boosts, so crap. I guess we do that. Just put like whatever. Oh crap! I forgot we had the MP recovery thing. I guess you can drop. Yeah, we can drop this for the MP recovery on Henry, so she never runs out. So we could just keep healing. Right. Yeah. Okay. We'll take that. Find this big one with times in that part about giants. Does that fit still? Would Python be a Titan from Attack on Titan? Okay. I have a feeling this is gonna be a long read. It was the day of the duel between the Harmonia College and the Marduk College. Many associates were gathered in the central hall of the Coglosio Academy of Magic. A large table was carried into the center, and the map of the cosmos was laid out. The map was an alchemy tool used to calculate and observe a virtual world. This time, adjustments had been made so the people's consciousness could appear in the map. The Chancellor set a rule to have the two colleges duel each other in the virtual world built by the map.
ごきげんよう、ハルモニア派の皆さん。ちゃんと逃げずにいらっしゃったようですわね。
For whatever reason, my imagination isn't working for us. It'd be like that sometimes.
決闘の方法は聞いているね。決闘にはおよそそぐわない雰囲気だが、まずはそこにかけたまえ。
Zoom in on her legs. He's never seen. Wait. Is she? Alright, excuse me. Urged Professor yawned. Shin and the others took a seat across from him.
Both teams surrounded the table and confronted each other. Around them were Chancellor Faust in the gallery.
今一度おさらいしよう。決闘はこの盤上にて行われる。
The map of the cosmos. It replicated the academy. On the table was an accurate diorama of the Cogliosio Academy. Of course, this wasn't a normal structure. The members of the Harmonia College were going to project their consciousness to the pawns on the model, and they will fight in the virtual world projected on the diorama.
仮想世界とはいえ、学長や高位の錬金術師が調整を加えたフィールドは、現実と同じ感覚で活動できる。当然五感もあるし、痛みは感じる。現実の体が傷つくことはないと言っても、投影した意識はそうはいかない。本当にいいのかね？死ぬ心配がないとは、逆説的には死ぬほどの苦痛を味わっても死ねないということだが。
They really did not bother removing the pain, huh? Like, usually with something like this, you would remove the pain and you just count it as like, you know, if they die inside, like, well, it's game over. You're not gonna respawn anyway, but like, they had to add the pain in. That's crazy.
脅したって無駄ですよ、ヨハン教授。私たち全員覚悟してここに来たんですから。
Pain is important? No, man. Professor Johan's confirmation, Arya responded strongly. Shin and Celis nodded in agreement to her words.
脅しではなく、忠告のつもりだったのだがね。何しろ我々の選手は感情のないドールだ。君たちがトラウマになるほどのダメージを負わせてしまうかもしれない。
Professor Johan snapped his fingers. A small mechanical sound was heard as the tallest taking part in the duel appeared. Type 2.
隣のドールは初めて見るタイプね。
Standing behind Maltina was a doll that caught their eyes. It was a doll colored in red. The curves on its body gave it a feminine appearance and presented a different impression from the other dolls.
彼女はカリーナ。私のコードを正確にトレースする私専用のドール。美しきバラの騎士ですわ。
バラの騎士
Remember something that lets you feel your body's okay instead of overestimating your abilities. Actually, I guess you'd need the sensation. Oh, this big. What?
このドールはあなたのようなごっこ遊びではなく、騎士のあり方を忠実に体現しておりますの。
ごっこ遊びと言ったわね。
To Maltina's taunts, Sal's expression turned stern. Shin, who sat next to her, felt her fighting spirit being ignited.
新型のドール完成していたのね。
彼女は送信アルルの力を借りて制作したハイブリッドモデル。ハルモニア派の手を借りる必要なんて元からなかったのですわ。
Didn't say it's come back up. She's probably referring to the time Friend went to ask Shin and Henry for advice on the transmitters for the doll. Friend kept his face down and remained silent as if he was warned in advance.
いいかね。我々はここにいる2型とマルチナ君のカリーナ、そして決闘用にチューンした3体のドールを出場させる。盤上のコマにはドールたちのスペックを正確に入力しよう。事務局の立ち会いの下での投影で不正が行われる余地はない。
ハルモニア派は事前の申告通り、私、シン、セレス、エンリ、ナムタルの5人が決闘に参加します。
5対5。同じ戦力でも正々堂々の勝負ということですね。
戦闘に特化したドールが同数ではいささか我らに有利すぎる嫌いはあるがね。
問題ありません。同じ条件で戦ってこそ決闘裁判の意義に沿うものとなりますから。
だそうだ。ならばこの際大津遠征に弾みをつけるため全力でやらせてもらおう。
Yes, let's do our best. The map was activated. A pillar of light rose from the board as many spell circles unfolded like ripples.
君たちが意識を投影するコマはハルモニア派の攻防にある。一方我々のドールのコマはマルドゥック派の攻防。その後の行動は自由だが、意識が投影された時点で決闘は始まったものと考えてもらっていい。
攻防に立てこもり、守りを固めてもいいし、打って出て森で交戦してもいいということですね。
They were notified of these rulings in advance. The duel may sound like a clash of powers and skills, but in reality it was a strategized team battle.
ただし制限時間は2時間と設定されています。2時間で勝負がつかなかった場合、残っていた選手の多い側が勝利となります。選手が同数の場合、どちらかの選手が脱落するまでのサドンデスルールとなるので注意してください。
I know. I know, friend. So it'll be settled one way or another. The conversation was about to become an end. The conversation was about to come to an end. Both the Harmonia College and the Marduk College eyed each other as they prepared to be projected on the board. The winner gets to decide the plans for the expedition to Or. The defeated college will simply follow suit. Is that okay? I'm over to need to kill some characters.
問題はない。さあ、決闘を始めようではないか。
As Professor Johann spoke, he crossed his legs. He crossed his arms on his armrest as he leisurely sat down. However, his cold smile reflected ruthlessness that was ready to defeat the Harmonia College and full of confidence in their victory.
決闘の後、泣きべそをかくあなたたちの顔が目に浮かぶようですわ。
You won't lose. Her consciousness started to fade. No, he felt his mind separating from his body while being sucked into the diorama. For a moment, his vision began to spin. It was an indescribable feeling of intoxication that lasted a few seconds. By the time he regained consciousness, Shin's mind was already transferred to one of the pawns on the map. Shin's consciousness was suddenly awakened. He couldn't tell if he was out of it for a long time or a few seconds. It was a strange feeling. Brushing away the odd feeling, he managed to get up. This is the workshop, but something seems off. Visually, the scenery was no different from the Harmonia College's workshop, but the ambience was a little peculiar. It felt like they were in a replica with the same visuals. I see, so this is the virtual world created on the map. Right now, my consciousness is projected on one of the pawns. Shin began to curiously touch everything around him. Oh, this seems a bit different from the rest. It's soft and feels almost real. What is this? Oh no. Did he? Shin examined the object carefully to identify what it was.
それ私なのだけど。
Bro. What? It spoke. Shin quickly removed his hands. Sorry, I didn't notice.
どうしてこんな状態で目覚めるのよ。悪意を感じるわ。
Anyway, this is dangerous, so you can prison people here. Yeah, I guess if you tune it in the appropriate way, or because they change the settings, right? Like they can manipulate the settings of the virtual world. So yeah, you can definitely probably put someone inside and just keep them stuck there. That would be really mean though, and also kind of a waste of the thing, because like you're probably using this for other things. Waking up somewhere else in the workshop, Arya shot a cold stare at Shin.
どうしたセレス？かくれんぼか？
とりあえず引っ張り出した方がいいのだわ。
Henry Namtar helped Salas out from under the desk.
もう
盤上の駒でも芯は芯ってことね。柔らかかった？
Yeah.
真面目に答えなくていいの。
Salas' face flushed as she scolded Shin. Sorry. I swear it wasn't on purpose. I was just inspecting the workshop and accidentally made contact. I was hitting Shin's body right now.
そういえばよく再現されてるの。見た目は私たちの工房とそっくりなのだわ。
Dog.
でもなんかペラペラしてるぞ。これ偽物だ。
Having the same impression as Shin, Namtar also began to touch everything around her.
見た目だけ似せた仮想世界だからね。極めて精緻に構築してあるけど、どうしても現実より見劣りしてしまうの。
なるほど。でもナムタルたちは変わらないな。
Whether she understands or not was unknown. Namtar continued to touch Enri and Shin curiously. Oh yeah, we should just be pawns and not made with flesh and blood, right? But I wonder why it doesn't feel different.
それは錯覚。実際は私たちも他の構造物と同じ作り物のはずだけど、認識の錯覚が生身と同じように感じさせているの。そうじゃなきゃ、いつも通りに体を動かすことなんてできない。決闘なんて成立しなくなるからね。
つまり私たちの認識の上ではこの体は生身と変わらないのね。
It's all in your head. Opening and closing both her hands, Enri spoke as if she was confirming the fact.
みんな現状の把握が済んだところで決闘なのだけど、
The dolls of the Marta College should be projected in the workshop too, right?
もうこっちに向かってきていてもおかしくないの。
They all looked at each other sternly. The two workshops were on opposite ends of the forest, but with the dolls moving at full speed, they could ambush them in less than 10 minutes. They didn't have time to talk leisurely.
作戦は話し合っていた通りでいいかな。
Plan to use this workshop as a base to lure them in, right? Despite being an imitation, the workshop and forest were like the Harmonia College's yard. Their home ground would be at their advantage.
セレスとシンが前衛、私とエリちゃんが後方から援護支援、ナムタルちゃんは状況に応じて遊撃をお願い。
Got it.
腕が鳴るわ。
ナムタルも頑張る。
They nodded firmly to Arya's words. The duel between the Harmonia College and the Marta College quietly began. The enemy was detected on the tracker made with Enri's threads in the forest.
3時の方向150メートル先なの。迎撃に向かうわ。
ナムタルも。
待って、7時の方向からも反応。こっちは2体いるみたい。
Simultaneous attacks from two directions. They must have split.
シン、どうしよう。
Asked how to handle the matter, Shin thought for a moment. Namtar, you go handle the one coming in at 3 o'clock, but don't go after it. They may be planning to split us apart.
離れないように戦えばいいのか。
Yep, I'm counting on you.
わかった。
Namtar nodded as she formed her black spear and dashed out. Henry, continue to keep an eye out for our surroundings. Once we get notified of other attacks, Arya, be ready to take action. Celis and I will handle the one coming in at 7 o'clock.
了解。工房を守る構えは見せておかなくちゃね。
ドールの数は減らしておきたいところだけど。
The battle just started. No need to rush things, Celis. Shin spoke as if he was reminding himself. While keeping everyone's position and strategy in mind, he headed in the direction of the doll. They instantly spotted the doll. The red color meant it must be Karina, the doll representing Maltina. Next to Maltina's doll was a standard artillery type.
来ましたわね。シン、セレス。お二人が相手なんて幸先がいいですわ。
That doll's voice.
マルチナ。
Surprised by the voice suddenly emitting from the doll, Shin and Celis got into battle stance.
ここは仮想世界ですもの。カリーナと私はまさに一心同体。仮想世界では調整次第でこういうこともできるんですわ。
Maltina's doll leaped. The blades in its hands flashed as it took steps as if doing a graceful dance.
なんて運動性。
This must be the improvement made by the god Aruru. Shin quickly formed his blade, but the Crimson Doll continued to attack while turning its entire body.
遅い。止まって見えますわよ。
Not only were Karina's movements graceful, but they were sharp enough to strike our blind spots. Even with Shin and Celis together, they were struggling to catch her constantly shifting movements.
間合いを一度外さないと押し切られる。
Celis retreated to the back to collect her pace once again.
甘いですわ。逃がしません。
Celis, watch out!
He noticed the other doll was aiming to fire at Celis. Shin quickly defended Celis and used his hardened gauntlet to repel the enemy's energy bullets. Good. He felt a sharp numbing pain shooting through his right wrist. He wasn't injured, but it may be difficult for him to move his arm freely for a while. Not bad, Maltina. She's controlling the red doll like her own arms and legs, all while perfectly controlling that other doll at the same time.
ごめんなさい。私をかぶって。
No, I'm glad you're okay. Let's get back on track.
ええ。せめて真の腕が回復するまで時間を稼がないと。
Celis eyed Shin's arm condition attentively. She put the blade of her rapier back into her ether gear and formed it back into a needle.
ニードルラッシュ。
Numerous small needles were fired like bullets. Karina quickly intercepted and defended the attack aimed at the artillery doll. She repelled the needles with rapid movements, so fast that they could not be seen with the naked eye.
これ式の攻撃、カリーナの運動性をもってすれば何ほどのこともありませんわ。
シン、今のうちよ。交代しましょう。ここを乗り切れば付け入る隙はきっとあるわ。
Yeah. Even with their attacks defended, Celis continued to fire the needles. While the opponent was fixed on the spot, Shin and Celis quickly fled the scene. As they returned to the workshop, they met up with Namtar, who was also retreated.
ナモタル、敵を追い返したぞ。
You managed to defeat the doll?
つっついたら逃げてった。
あからさまな誘いね。あきくん。あからさまな誘いね。やっぱり敵は私たちを分断しようとしているみたい。
Good job not falling for their trap, Namtar.
あまり離れないよ。言いつけ守った。
Namtar said it naturally, but she seemed happy to be praised. They continued through the forest and returned near the tower. Arya and Henry, who waited in the rear, met up with the two.
そっちの状況を把握してるよ。マルチナさんの道路に苦戦してるみたいだね。
That was beyond our imagination. We went against her a bit, but I bet she has more tricks up her sleeve. Well, not that we don't either. With that said, Shin shook his dominant hand lightly. The numbness from the energy bolt was getting better.
シンたちが時間稼ぎをしてくれたおかげで、こっちの罠の準備はできてるよ。うまくかかってくれるといいけど。大丈夫。私がサポートするの。標的の距離80メートル。75、70。
Looks like the red doll came after us. Coming straight from the front like that? Looks like she's got a lot of confidence.
ナモタル、戦おうか。待って、その前に。
Soon after, Arya stopped Namtar. A loud explosion and dirt rose ahead. The blast reached where they were as the trees in the forest rustled.
地雷だよ。エンリちゃんのサポートのおかげで、タイミングはドンピシャのはずだけど。
They all kept their eyes on the hypocenter. Passing the black smoke and remaining embers, the red doll made an appearance. A slight stain from the soot was apparent, but aside from that, there was no noticeable damage on her armor.
さすがにこれくらいじゃ倒せないか。罠はまだあるのだわ。
Henry controlled the claws on her hands. The wires hidden in the ground moved like living creatures. The moment the doll's toes touched it, the wires coiled around its body and bound it down.
やった。
しゃらくさいですわ。
With unnatural movements, the red doll bent its joints and cut the wires that bound it.
そうされるのが予想済みなの。
何を。
The loud crackling of trees echoed continuously around the dolls. The trees began to collapse one after another, heading toward the red doll. Maltina managed to see through the wire trap, but did not seem to foresee this. Both her doll and the other doll were trapped underneath. On the Bro.
シン、今なの。
Alright, blade set. Right as the red doll chopped the tree trunk, Shin slashed practically at the same time. I don't remember. Yeah. Yeah, I let it pass through. It's fine. But Shin's target was not the red doll. He struck the artillery type near it and made sure to destroy its drive system. Karina, too busy prioritizing escaping the trap, had no time to defend the other doll. One down.
わずかな時間にここまでの罠を張るなんて少々見くびっていたようですわね。
Whoa. As Karina regained its stance, it unleashed a lightning-fast strike. Expecting an attack, Shin jumped away at ease. Karina swung her blade down with vigor but misses. Even the emotionless doll seemed to be frustrated. However... Karina's attitude suddenly changed unexpectedly. Shin felt uneasy seeing its relaxed nature despite falling into their trap earlier.
予想通り地の利を生かして持久戦に持ち込むつもりのようですわね。だけどなぜ私が正直にそちらの罠にかかってあげたとお思い？
Don't tell me. Shin turned around in awe. Two dolls appeared from a different direction from Karina and beelined toward the workshop. You made yourself a decoy.
追いかける。もう遅いですわ。あなたたちの工房を完全に破壊するまであのドールはもう止まりません。
Wait, was defending the workshop itself part of the rules?
頼みの工房をズタズタにされてどこまで戦えるかしら。
Yeah, I don't think that was in the rules. Wasn't it like literally just take the other team out? What's the point of the... Huh?
そうね。蒸気戦は難しいかな。疲れ知らずのドールを相手に粘りがちなんて最初から狙ってなかったけど。
To Maltina's laughter, Arya responded calmly. Soon after, a loud explosion occurred from the workshop tower. Cracks formed from the inside as crimson flames burst out from the windows. It wasn't caused by the dolls. The dolls were caught in the explosion and were shattered to pieces.
残念だったね。罠は森に仕掛けてあるので全部じゃないから。むしろ本命はこっち。
Yeah, like... I don't know why she would like go for the workshop because the rule is to eliminate them, not the workshop. Like what?
まさか工房に爆薬を仕掛けるなんて。
本物の工房なら私たちもこんな作戦は立てられなかったけど、ここは仮想世界だからね。
There's no way an alchemist would break their own workshop. Sorry, but we used the reverse psychology for that idea. In theory, they can just run for 2 hours now. Yeah, because pretty much. They already have the player advantage, right? So they can just run. They don't have to fight anymore. They fought and defended around the workshop to prepare for their upcoming strategy. They made it look like their workshop was the heart of their team and lured their enemies. It would have been suspicious if it was too obvious, so they went along with the enemy's plan to disperse them.
これで5体のドールのうち3体は倒したわ。あとはそのカリーナとまだ姿を現さない味方。
The problem is the Type 2 has invisibility though, so... It's gonna be hard trying to evade something they can't see, I think. Number-wise, we have an advantage. From Karina's expressionless face mask, they could sense Maltina gritting her teeth. Not lowering his guard, Shin readied his gauntlet against Karina. Right, nothing personal, kid. There you go. Eh? The moment Namtar shouted, he felt a slight breeze from behind. He could feel the hostility in the wind as goosebumps formed. Shin reflexively raised his arm and caught the blade with his armor. It was almost a miracle that he was able to defend himself after reacting to Namtar's shout. Type 2? Since when? Shin vaguely caught the sight of the translucent figure of Type 2. Its body quickly emerged from the scenery as their blades crossed. The way it blended itself like a chameleon was so natural. He has seen it before, but it was unexpected. If it weren't for Namtar's warning, Shin would have been defeated. Namtar throws her black spear like a harpoon. Type 2 dodged it swiftly and aimed his machine gun at Shin. Dodging rapidly, Shin hid behind a tree just in time. Tumbling from tree to tree, he distanced himself from Type 2. It must have been lurking and waiting for an opportunity.
作戦がうまくいってこっちの気が緩んだ瞬間を狙ったのね。
やっぱり一番注意すべきはあの新潟みたいね。
Yeah, unless we defeat both Type 2 and the Red Doll, we won't win. I guess it's fate. I had a feeling that this would happen ever since I saw Type 2 at the Valley of Roaring Winds.
こそこそしないで出ていらっしゃい。ちょっと作戦が思い通りになったくらいで いい気にならないことですわね。
No need to tell us. Shin sprinted out from the shade. The Type 2 pointed his gun, but at the same time, Salsa Namtar moved to stir up his target.
エリちゃん、私たちも援護を。
新潟と赤いドールの連携を断つのだわ。
いいでしょう。受けて立ちますわ。
5 members of the Harmonia College and the remaining 2 dolls dove deeper into the virtual forest. The duel between the 2 colleges was the most heated. Was at its most heated, I think is supposed to be the text there. Yep, story battle. You still put a regular doll in? Bro. What are they weak to? Earth and light. Water and light. Water and light. Okay. I don't have that much earth, and we just changed Arya to fire. Crap. Oh, they're all resistant to fire too. Okay, well, Arya's not gonna do anything here. God damn it. I think we focus on Type 2? Focus on Type 2, I guess. They're 99 disappointed. I mean, the total is actually no, the total's not even 9999. It's like 7. It's like 8, 8-4, 852, 8528 total, plus the 720. This is my only light here. It's electric wave. I wasn't even targeting the extra doll, it still died. Nice. I think we still have the defense. That hurt, actually. What the fuck? The main doll's almost dead. Ooh, Rosane Ore and Crest of Type 2? Wait, huh? Crest of Type 2? What do you mean I have a Crest of the Doll, bro? Huh? The duel between the two colleges lasted more than 10 minutes. Even with it being 5 Harmonia members versus 2 dolls, the longer the battle went on, the harder it would be for them physically. The time to put an end to the match was coming closer for the Harmonia College.
動きが鈍ってますわよ、セレス。マニューバースプレンダークラス。
Unable to block Karina's repeated attacks, Celis was blasted toward the back. Arya quickly followed up, but Celis was breathing heavily and was in no condition to get up anytime soon. But still willing to fight, she quickly removed the shattered rapier blade from her ether gear and formed a new blade.
まだあがきますの？その目、昔と変わらない。全く忌々しいですわ。いい加減気づきなさいな。これは生存闘争なの。子供のごっこ遊びではなくてよ。夢みたいな理想ばかりで物事は片付いたりしないのですわ。
だから家臣を犠牲にしていいの？送信は資源じゃない。アルルと契約したあなたならわかるでしょ？
Arya was still suspicious of Type 2. Arya couldn't get rid of the thought of Type 2 possibly deliberately trying to eclipse Aru.
アルルとの契約はヨハン教授も認めてくださっています。わざと家臣に落とすなんてあるはずないんですの。
マルチナさん、あなた。
Arya was certain from Maltina's words. She did not know about Type 2's plans with contamination, but she also suspected Professor Johan was the one who may have ordered it.
マルチナ、どうしてそんなに目の敵にするの？私はそうよ。今も昔も変わらない。自分の理想を追いかけ、本物の騎士になろうと。
Johan sipping his tea while listening. I do wonder like how this all looks to all the spectators, right? Like they can probably hear what's happening too, and like what they're talking about, right?
それが気に入らないんですわ。フレンを守れなかったくせに騎士ですって。まだ生きたいと泣くあの子に何もしてやれなかったくせに。
Okay, now hold on. How is that her fault? He got sick. Friend got sick, man. Like what? Karina headed toward them. Her emotionless eye mask glowed as if it were expressing anger or tears.
この世界は理不尽で満ちている。救える命には限りがある。だからありもしない希望にすがるハルモニア花だ。
希望はあるよ。
The wind currents Arya created deflected Karina's blade. Using that wind, she formed blades that slashed the armor.
なければ私たちが作る。
こんなもの。
Breaking past the wind blades, Karina charged toward Arya. This time, Celis darted out from the side and struck the blade, aiming for Arya.
私たちは無力かもしれない。でもだからといって歩みを止めてしまったら本当の意味で未来は閉ざされてしまう。
いつまでも知った風な口を。
アリア、やってほしいことがあるわ。
Celis shouted as she continued to cross blades with the red doll.
何？あの赤いドールを倒せるなら何でも言って。
あなたの術式クロックアップを私にかけられる？
クロックアップ？でもあれは体の負担が大きいから全力で動こうとしたら数秒でガタガタになっちゃうよ。
十分よ。その数秒でカリーナを仕留める。
She's gonna trade, bro.
なんですって大きく出たものですわね。そんな破れかぶれでカリーナに勝てると思っていて。
Perfect time to experiment. I guess she's not gonna die, but like, bro, are you serious? Hearing Celis and Ari's conversation, she showed obvious signs of irritation.
勝てるわ。今までの攻防であなたの動きは見切った。あとはその動きについていくだけの反応速度を得ることができれば。
いいですわ。そこまで言うならかかってらっしゃい。返り討ちにして差し上げますわ。
我が名はセレス・メギストス。ソシエを守る錬金術師にして騎士。いざ尋常に勝負。アリア。
While confronting Karina, Celis called out to her friend behind her. Either way, her strength was reaching her limits. Then she might as well burn it all in the remaining few seconds she had left. Sensing Celis' resolve, Arya activated her spell on her spiral circuit.
スパイラルサーキットブースト。クロックアップ3セコンド。エンチャント。セレス。
Striking out her rapier in her right hand, Celis struck Karina straight up from the front. The red doll Karina, using both her blades while spinning at full speed, charged at Celis.
見える。
A Godspeed attack and defense unfolding in a matter of seconds. High-speed battle techniques lie mainly in reaction skills. Normally, one would try to capture the sight of the spinning blades with their naked eye and predict the trajectory of their movements.
思った通り、カリーナの攻撃モーションにはパターンがある。奇抜な動きで意表をついてくるけど、基本はパターンの組み合わせなんだわ。そのパターンの先を行けば取れる。
Karina changed the rotation of her blades from vertical to horizontal. Crossing her arms, she moved left to right and got ready to slice her neck to finish her off. Celis' intuition told her that Karina would aim there. The moment the blade stopped spinning, she struck the slight gap when her arms crossed. Her rapier struck the center of Karina's chest and pierced the hole straight into her back. Even while losing her balance, Karina crossed her blades. The edges skimmed Celis as a few strands of her hair fluttered. She leaned forth as she struck the doll's body multiple times. From the shoulder, abdomen, and arm joints, and when she tried to stab again, the rapier broke, unable to bear the strength. That was when Celis finally realized 3 seconds has been up. Suddenly, every muscle in her body ached as exhaustion hit. Struggling to stand, she fell to her knees. Even with many holes punctured, Karina was still standing. Moving awkwardly, she raised her arm and tried to finish Celis off. Her body that shouldn't be able to move moved. Rising from her crouched position, Celis dodged her opponent's blade as she used the moment to deliver a thrust. Her movement was replicated from a basic form she practiced numerous times during training. She moved mindlessly, but it was a form engraved in her flesh and blood. The blade of her rapier was half broken and useless. Normally, it shouldn't have the power to pierce a doll's armor. However, Maltina's astonished voice escaped the doll's artificial vocal cords. Celis' rapier re-drilled the hole in her chest she created the first time. The stab reached the hilt as it widened the crack in the chest armor. A small explosion occurred from the system short-circuiting and black smoke rose from the fractures. Like a puppet losing its strings, Karina fell to the ground.
認めたくないものですね。私は成敗される悪役なんて。
Maltina's faint voices can be heard from the collapsed doll.
私の王子様、本当に変わらない。
Well, don't tell me the entire time she was just freaking... Was she gave her Celis the entire time, bro? Was she being tsundere to Celis the entire time, bro? Fucking... That said, Karina completely stopped functioning. Seeing that, Celis also fell to the ground.
勝ったわ。アリア、私。
すごかったよ。セレス、完全勝利だった。
ええ、あとは味方を。
Celes lost consciousness as she spoke. Arya gently laid her body down on the ground. Particles of light emerged from Celes' body as her figure gradually turned into a drawing figurine. Her consciousness was extracted from the pawn and returned to the real world.
まったく、気を失う寸前まで勝負のことを気にするなんて。
Looking at the tattered doll, Arya smiled weakly. Meanwhile, Shin, Enri, and Namtar were fighting against Type 2. Choosing a fairly large space in the forest, they fought back to back to eliminate blind spots. They were ready to respond to any enemy.
糸の結界を全周囲に張り巡らしたわ。相手が近づいたらすぐにわかるはずなの。
Even if Type 2 hides, if we know where it is. The stealth function of Type 2 that would blend with the scenery gave them a hard time. They would end up remaining in defense mode as the battle became more nerve-wracking.
右後方に反応。距離9メートル。
Namtar instantly reacted to Enri's notification. She grabbed her black spear and darted toward the indicated area. Namtar! As he went after her, Shin felt a sense of unease in his mind. Why did Type 2 easily give away his location like that? It won't be a surprise if Type 2 saw through the thread barrier. Oh no. That was almost instinctive. As he fired bullets from his gauntlet, Shin dashed after Namtar while shouting, "Stand back, Namtar! It's a trap!" Namtar's spear cut through the air. Type 2's machine gun fired as several shots hit Namtar's petite body. The shots came from a different direction than from what was indicated by the barrier. He lured us in. He pretended to get caught in the thread barrier.
見つけた。
Even while getting shot, Namtar turned around. The silhouette of Type 2 flickered while being illuminated by the gunfire. Catching sight of him, Namtar grit her teeth as a wide grin emerged on her lips.
もう逃がさない。
Even after being shot with a machine gun, Namtar didn't let go of her spear. She swung it toward Type 2 as it formed an arc. But Namtar's strength reached her limit. After being hit with multiple shots, she collapses soon after tossing her spear. But Namtar's wish was in vain as the black spear lost its shape and disintegrated into particles and dispersed into thin air. The equipment formed from corruption could no longer maintain its shape as soon as Namtar lost control. As if he was expecting it to happen, Type 2 did not even move to try to evade the spear. Namtar.
私のせいなのだわ。結界を逆手に取られて。
No, that's not true. Namtar did what she was supposed to do. Thanks to Namtar, we can take down Type 2. Firing up his fighting spirit, Shin dashed forth. He predicted where Type 2 was going to move and slashed at him from the side. Both of their blades clashed as sparks flew. From the strike, Shin felt the opponent's agitation. Surprised I figured out where you were going to move, but now I won't lose sight of you. A black sooty stain was smeared on Type 2's armor. That was made from the black spear's particles earlier. The final attack by Namtar didn't apply any damage to Type 2, but it managed to place a marker on his body. I'm gonna keep going. Extending his blades from both of his gauntlets, Shin struck down countless times. Type 2 must have given up on going into stealth mode and showed itself. Using its blade on its left arm, it swept across to stop Shin's attack. Shin's attack suddenly stopped. Using that momentary pause, Type 2 aimed its machine gun.
させない。
Right when it was about to fire, its forearm suddenly spazzed. With his aim slightly shifted, the bullets only grazed Shin's side.
シン、今のうちに。
Enri's thread tied Type 2's arm, which was integrated with the machine gun. With his movements restricted, Shin took the opportunity to slash at Type 2. What the? No! No! Are you serious? What the fuck? No! Was that Albert's voice? No! What the fuck, bro? No! What do you mean? That was Shin's first time hearing Type 2's voice. Just like how Montina spoke through Karina, was Professor Yon talking using artificial vocal cords? But that seemed strange. Type 2's rough speech pattern was not like Professor Johan's way of speaking. On top of that, Shin felt as if he's heard his voice somewhere. Ugh. Type 2's machine gun broke off from its elbow. Soon after, the machine gun exploded and Shin was blinded. Ah! Shin's random slashes were already known to his enemy. As Type 2 flicked his blade away, he delivered a powerful kick to his torso. Gah. Type 2 raised his arm. Shin sensed his urge to kill and prepared for his death in the virtual world. Albert. He wasn't sure why he even mentioned his name, but in this moment of despair, his friend's face crossed his mind for some reason. That's right. Type 2's battle style resembled Albert's, especially the way he responded to and changed his style to the situation. Shin used his pattern, but flexible movements as a reference. You see, the strange feeling I felt from Type 2 wasn't his functionality differences from other dolls. For some reason, Type 2's movement suddenly froze for a moment. It only lasted for less than half a second, but Shin took the chance to strike. Blade shot. Turning his blade from his gauntlet into an arrow, he fired. Type 2 quickly reacted by dodging it, allowing the blade to skim past his head. But Shin didn't stop moving. Forcing his aching body to move, he rolled to the right side of Type 2. Type 2's right arm was unarmed after purging the machine gun. If he can slam his gauntlet to his unguarded side. Shin's plans were foreseen. Type 2 quickly turned around and launched a counterattack. His gauntlet was shattered as pain ran through his right arm. Seemed like his bone was also broken from the impact. I guess he won't be defeated this easily, but the whole point of fighting is to catch your opponent off guard, right? Shin knew Type 2 understood that fact. Type 2 had one big difference. Standard dolls whose optimized movements based on fighting data, while Type 2 would think on its own and try to make advanced movements to stop his opponents. This is my answer, Type 2. That was when Type 2 pointed his sword to finish off Shin, who was crouched down. A dull crushing sound was heard as a blade struck out from Type 2's chest. That blade was the one Shin fired earlier that skimmed past Type 2's head. The blade changed its trajectory in the air and came down at Type 2, who was directly below, accurately speaking. I magnetized the blade I tossed up. That way I made sure it would be lured back to the anchor I had down here. Shin remained crouched as he smirked. On the ground under his knees was an anchor-shaped blade. Of course, the metal contained opposite magnetic poles. The reason why he moved around was to hide the real target. The blade that pierced Type 2 from the back fell to the ground. The opposing magnetic parts came together as the sounds of metal rang. The next moment... Ka! Shin raised his blade and Type 2 swung his blade down at the same time. Their blades crossed. Type 2's power was so intense. Shin's body trembled in pain. Sparks flew as their blades clashed. Right when he was about to fall to his knees, Shin squeezed out his remaining strength. Sword? Break! I'm trying to... I can't get into like... the way he says it in the game, like... when in the actual combat, because the way he says it is like very different. That was when a purple flash ran through Type 2's blade, shattering it from the middle. As the pressure from the sword dissipated, Shin used the opportunity to swing his blade up to slash Type 2's body. Ha! And another shot. He lashed out mindlessly in an X-shaped motion at Type 2's torso. Coming to his senses, Shin staggered past Type 2. He no longer had any strength left. Covered in wounds, Shin looked back at Type 2 with his hazy vision. Type 2 stood there, in the same position as before. Losing his machine gun and his blade shattered, he almost resembled a tattered scarecrow. Again? The doll let out his voice again, but before he could confirm the truth, Type 2's body toppled over as he fell onto his back. Shin's strength only lasted enough to see his opponent fall. Immediately after, his knees gave out and crashed down. Did I win? Still unable to feel his victory, Shin muttered in shock. From the corner of his eye, he can see Enri rushing towards him, but before he can respond to her voice, Shin blacked out. Dude, I can't believe he freaking necroed Albert, bro. Fucking... He necroed friend, then he freaking necroed Albert, bro. Like, what the fuck? As he opened his eyes, Namta's face covered the majority of his vision. Just waking up, it took a few seconds for him to understand what was going on. Morning, Amtar.
Huh?
If
If you had your hands off my face, I would have been able to speak clearly. Shin spoke up as he pried off her hands. Apparently Namtar woke up before him and was touching his face all over. This is back in reality? We're in the central hall. Regaining his composure, he took a look around. The hall with the large table and the map were still the same as before the duel. The gallery, including the Chancellor, remained distant from Shin and the others as they kept quiet.
私たち戻ったの？
確かシンと新潟がぶつかって、それから決闘は終わったわ。先にリタイアした私やナムタルは少しだけ早く目覚めてこっちで観戦してたの。
シン、すまん。ナムタルやられちゃった。
No, Namtar. You did well. Thanks to you, I was able to capture the position of Type 2. He patted Namtar on the head as she fidgeted and shifted her gaze aside. Perhaps she was blushing. She was shot multiple times with a machine gun in the virtual world, but seeing her without actual wounds brought ease to Shin. Speaking of which, I was exhausted beyond belief, but it feels like my stamina's back. What a strange feeling.
シン、そしてハルモニア派の者たちよ。
Chancellor. Bowled over by Chancellor Faust, Shin returned to his senses. His teammates all straightened their postures and directed their attention.
こたびの決闘、見事であった。そなたらの奮闘、見届けさせてもらった。最新のドールを相手に力と技の限りを尽くして戦う姿、誠に立派だったぞ。
Thank you very much.
それで学長、結果は？
I mean, you guys won. What the fuck? In response to Arya's question, the Chancellor nodded firmly.
決闘を制したのはハルモニア派だ。ここにいる全員が証人である。故に、来たるオーズ遠征では、ハルモニア派の方針をもとに戦略を組み立てていくことをここに約束しよう。
A loud murmur echoed in an open hall. Shin and Arya turned to each other as they jumped for joy.
やったね、シン！
Yeah, now we don't have to go around harming the heinous gods. Arya raised her hand as Shin followed with a high five. Henry and Namtar held hands as they rejoiced. Seeing his excited teammates allowed Shin to feel a sense of victory. In actuality, there were chances of them losing. Maltina's Karina and Type 2 are unbelievably strong opponents. Recalling the earlier battle, Shin searched around for Type 2.
私からも見事だと言っておこうかシン。こちらの準備は万全だった。それでも勝てなかったのは現行のドールに何か足りない因子があるということか。
Where's Type 2? Type 2 stood beside Professor Johann in silence. The damage he applied in the virtual world was not reflected in his real body. While feeling hesitant, Shin went over to talk to Type 2. That was a good battle. If you fight again, you might be the winner. I think we only barely managed to beat you this time.
シン、君はドールを相手に人間のように話しかけるのだな。
Well...
君たちとの戦いはドールにとっても得るものがあっただろう。そのデータはフィードバックしておかなくてはな。
Professor Johann.
シン、今回は君たちに主役の座は譲ろう。しかしドールが戦力の中核であることは変わらない。家臣浄化が立ち行かなくなった時、切り札としての彼らの存在は覚えておきたまえ。
Patting Shin on the shoulder lightly, Professor Johann took his leave. Several supporters of the Marda College also followed and left the hall. Type 2. I guess he can't talk in real life. I wonder why I called him Albert that time. Nah, it can't be. Bro! Freaking... Shin quickly brushed away a thought that came to mind. Oh yeah, Albert was hired by the Marda College at one point. Maybe that's how his battle data was programmed inside Type 2. Shifting his gaze over, he spotted Celis and Maltina facing each other. Shin headed over to see what was going on.
乾杯ですわ。私、カリーナの性能に絶対の自信がありましたの。カリーナなら私の思う通りの舞踏ができる。 これなら負けるはずがないと。結果はご覧の通りですわ。セレスティアーナ、あなたは私の想像を上回る強さでカリーナを倒した。結局私は自分に負けたのですわね。理想に邁進するあなたを嘲笑って見下そうとした報いがこれなんですわ。
As Maltina expressed her regret, she spoke of her feelings honestly. Salas responded with a smile.
あなたは強かったわ、マルチナ。私が勝てたのはアリアや仲間が助けてくれたおかげ。一人では負けていた。だからそんな風に自分を卑下しないで。あなたは努力を重ねて送信アルルとも契約して自分だけの道路を組み上げた。それは誇ってもいいことよ。
セレス、
マルチナ、オーズ遠征ではあなたの力も貸してほしいの。過信浄化のためにはあなたやフレンの力が必要よ。
Salas offered her hand as Maltina looked down hesitantly.
私がヨハン教授の助手だということは忘れてもらっては困りますわ。もちろん遠征には参加しますけれど、浄化に協力するかどうかは教授と学長のお考え次第よ。
ではあなた個人の考えでは協力することに抵抗はないのね。
While Maltina was dumbfounded, Salas grabbed hold of her hand. She tried to shake it off, but Salas gripped hard and would not allow her to do so.
今はそれで構わないわ。あなたと敵対しなくて済む。それだけでも嬉しいから。
まったく相変わらずおめでたい性格ですわね。昔のセレス、王子様のまんまだよね。こら、フレン！
Maltina turned red as friend teased her.
気になってたんだけど、どうしてセレスが王子様なの？
True. They recalled her being referred to as a prince, but in actuality, Salas was a princess, so...
はあ、それは昔の騎士ごっこをしていた時の思い出なんです。
Play as knights?
遊びか？楽しいやつか？
うん。昔は楽しかったな。姉さんが囚われのお姫様で、僕、人間のフレンが悪役。そして、セレスが姉さんを助けに来た王子様。ずっとこの配役で遊んで、だから、姉さんにとって、セレスは憧れのヒーローなんです。何を言いますの？フレン！
Maltina's face turned red as a tomato.
私の王子様がセレスだなんて、そんな子供の頃の遊びを持ち出して、セレスなんて初恋でも何でもないんですのよ。
Happy Pride Month! First crush?
それは
She must have noticed her words slipping. Maltina began to shiver from the embarrassment.
まさかマルチナさんがセレスに妙に突っかかっていたのって。
Happy Pride Month.
まあ、あの頃のセレスは髪も短かったし、男の子みたいな格好をしてたから。
Friend muttered shyly. Longing to be a knight, young Salas would play make-believe and practice swordsmanship. It wasn't that hard to imagine her being tomboyish, which means...
マルチナはセレスのこと本当に男の子だと思ってたの？それが真相に気づいて憎らしくなったとか。やめなさい、もう知りませんわ。
Maltina scurried away. Her cries were almost filled with tears. Those who were left behind exchanged awkward glances. So, did you know about her misunderstanding, Salas?
王子様っていつも真剣に呼んでくれて、だからあの頃私も役になりきろうとしていたわ。もちろんお芝居だけど。
お芝居
I don't think we should bring this up much in front of Maltina. I think the relationship would just get worse.
でもセレスが王子様になりきれば本気で力を貸してくれるんじゃない？強くて勇敢なセレスは彼女にとって理想の王子様だったんだから。
姉さん、本気にしますよ。
それは困るわ。ねえ、シン。
Huh? Well, I guess, since you are a girl.
なら好意を寄せる相手が殿方だったら構わないと？
I didn't mean it that way. Displeased with Shin's response, Cells looked disgruntled.
僕、姉さんを追いかけます。
私も行った方がいいかしら。
いえ、今日のところは僕からフォローしておきますから。それじゃ、失礼します。
Ren took a bow as he began walking away, but remembering something, he stopped. Ren?
僕から言うことではないかもですが、決闘の勝利、おめでとうございます。いろいろあったけど、僕、こうして全力を出し合ってよかったと思います。結果がこうなった以上、僕もハルモニア派の方針に協力しますから。姉さんもヨハン教授のことがなければきっと同じように思っているかと。
Thanks, friend. Give our regards to Maltina too. If she can offer her help, we'd be more than happy to welcome her.
はい、必ず。それと
After smiling, his expression suddenly clouded.
シンさんはヨハン教授の動きにどれだけ疑いを持っていますか？
What do you mean?
ひょっとして送信を恋に酷化させようとしたこと？
Arya muttered softly. Friend appeared surprised for a moment before nodding.
新潟には僕や姉さんにも解析できないブラックボックスがあります。もし僕たちの想像通りの暴挙をヨハン教授が新潟にさせていたとしたら、
Professor Johann would be no different than the destroyer Agrippa.
姉さんもその疑いを持っているみたいなんです。だから余計意地になって否定しようとして。
I see.
僕、それとなく探ってみるつもりです。何か分かったらシンさんにも知らせますから。
無理は禁物なの。フレンこそ助けが必要ならいつでも呼んで。
ありがとう、ヘンリー。それじゃ。
Lightly waving, Friend finally left the scene.
決闘にはなんとか勝ったけどまだまだ波乱がありそうだね。
But the day for the expedition is approaching. Let's make sure to be well prepared for anything that may happen. Everyone nodded in agreement to Shin's words. Bro. Bro. I guess there was kind of like an inkling of that in like the previous chapters, but it's been made very clear now that Maltina had a crush on Zealous the entire time. Let's see. Nope, no new farm zone. we're still continuing on, which is fine, honestly. Like, I much prefer just reading through the story than being distracted by the fuck ass farming simulator, bro. But yeah, that's we're gonna stop there today. It's slightly overtime, but I was not gonna stop that scene midway through when it was like the very end. So we'll stop here for now. And yeah, 55%. So we're halfway, I guess. Again, I don't know if that accounts for like alternate routes and stuff. So, but I'm assuming it's just like the actual the playthrough. Anime crashes are too much sometimes. I mean, that's part of the fun of it, you know, that it's kind of over the top. Because obviously you couldn't do over the top if it was live action. that would just be cringe. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Next stream on Saturday, we'll be continuing our Batua half campaign in Victoria 3. I've kind of figured out how we're going to rein in the our other subjects, so we're gonna do that, and hopefully we'll be on our on track to like unify all of Africa, and also like get a few more gold mine accesses, and monopolize those. I'm probably never gonna get the one in Sweden, but we'll try and get the one in Manchuria since we have a subject over there now. But yeah, that's gonna be the stream on Saturday. Let's get the screen up. Thanks to Steel and Spar for dropping by, and for everyone else, wherever you're watching from, whether it's live or the VOD, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch, have a good day, good night, take care, and I'll see you on Saturday for some Victoria 3.